Hey everybody, welcome to the Players Take episode 2. I'm your host Justin DeSimone, and I am joined by my co-host Montrell Rice.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going, man? How was your Christmas?
It was actually pretty good. Spent some time with my girlfriend, her family, and we had a nice little quiet Christmas. There wasn't too many people over there, so
yeah. Did you get all the games you wanted?
Yeah, she actually got me some decent games. I got Mario Odyssey, and Breath of the Wild, and before everybody asks, I got a Switch late, so I got it like maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
Fucking scrub.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to play those games upon launch. The games that I did have was like Monster Hunter and some other games like Pikachu Let's Go, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and Xenoblade. I bought that and things like those were my primary pickups for getting the Switch. But yeah. I also got a $50 gift card, and I put that on Twitter. And,
PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Yeah, word.
Put that on Twitter. People gave me some good suggestions.
I told you Spider-Man, and
yeah, I
mean, it's exactly $50 for the one with the DLC right now. Like,
yeah, I think I am going to get. I think I am going to get Spider-Man, but somebody mentioned Ni no Kuni 2, that RPG that I really like.
Yeah,
because I really like Ni no Kuni 1, and 2. Mechanics or the battle system kind of improved a little bit, lot.
It's more action based.
Yeah,
I think,
so
right?
I really want to get that. But I might just get it. It's on sale now for like probably $30 or $20 or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that. But yeah, how was your Christmas?
It was good. I spent time with my wife and her family, and I, like you, I also got some games this Christmas. I got Spider-Man, and I got Let's Go Eevee. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
Hey, okay, so it's like the red.
I don't know if I'll have time to play it, but I have it, and
it's actually a fun 2-player game. Like if you want, I know your wife
really
won't play it, but like me and my girlfriend were playing it, and she was like catching Pokemon with me.
That's cute, but my wife's gotten literally zero interest in playing a video game with me. Like if I even asked her, she would just go, "Ugh." So no, that's never gonna happen. But it's a nice thought.
Okay, well, you want to jump right into this thing?
Yeah. So this week we're gonna do a little bit of news. We're gonna have 2 topics of the show. Hopefully a little bit shorter of an episode than last week. So let's just jump right into it. So this first story, this started happening the day after Christmas. Actually, I started seeing this anecdotally on just shopping sites that I frequent. But then I started seeing stories pop up, and this kind of confirmed that this might be a permanent thing. So the PlayStation Classic has been on sale for $59.99 basically all week since Christmas. And this seems like it might be permanent because it happened at every single retailer that sells the PlayStation Classic. And it's it kind of confirms that the sales have not been great for this thing, and the reception was not great for this thing. So I'm thinking this may be a permanent price cut.
Well, we talked about it. It was we talked about it off podcast, but we talked about it when it was first announced. The games that they released, what was it, fucking Mr. Driller or something like that?
Yeah, Mr. Driller. I don't remember the list. Jump Flash.
Like, those 2 games to me were. And there was some other games they mentioned. I mean, they just did not. They dropped the ball in this. They had, of course, they had Cool Borders 2, which I play. A lot of people play.
Final Fantasy 7.
I think they had Metal Gear, right?
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, they had Metal Gear Solid on there, which are good system sellers. Like, I mean, I probably would have bought the game. Bought this console for that as well. But I mean, they didn't have any like. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with allowing Activision and. To do the trilogy remakes, I guess
I don't. They had no control over that.
Yeah,
but I think the thing is the list of games. I told you when it was first announced that it was an extremely disappointing list.
Yeah, like they don't have any Tales games.
And I remember the day that you looked at the list. I remember you started out. You were like, you were really excited at first.
Yeah,
and you were like, oh man, I don't even remember what games you were excited about.
It was Cool Borders.
It was Cool Borders.
Cool
okay.
Borders
Yeah. So he starts out really excited, and then he starts going through the list, and he reflects over the next hour, 2 hours, and his opinion starts to get negative. Then it starts to get real negative. Then it just turned to straight hatred because I think you realized how bad the list of games was, and the fact that it's $100 was, in my opinion, absolutely fucking absurd. I think Sony was trying really hard to take advantage of the wave that Nintendo started with this, and yes, Nintendo did not create these retro consoles. However, they're the ones that made them popular. I think. I don't think people were buying the Atari ones or the Sega ones in droves, like they are NES and Super NES.
Yeah, those are still in stores.
They are, but they're not flying off shelves. They never have been, and I don't think they ever will be, like the NES Classic and the Super NES Classic were. But I think Sony was trying to capture that wave and get in on that wave, but they did it in a way that was so just like it felt half-assed. It felt really half-baked because, first of all, $100, which is more than both the SNES Classic and the NES Classic, and it also it was revealed, like people found out once it was out and people had it, that they were using an emulator that had been made by fans. Like it was a public emulator that people had posted online. I don't remember what it was called, but they had licensed it from the group that made it. They didn't even make their own emulator for this thing, which is just, I don't know. So, it's just kind of, they didn't put a lot of effort into it. It feels like.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the game and the game list so far. So, I did start out really far. I started out really positive because they had Battle Arena to Shinden. They had Cool Butters, Destruction Derby. All these games I did grow up playing on my PS1. Now, a lot of these games are niche games. Like I don't know a lot of people who play Destruction Derby. I don't know a lot of people who played Cool Butters too, but apparently when I put that on Twitter, a lot of people was like, hey, I grew up playing this game too. This was before the SSX and the XSX Tricky on the PS2. Like, it kind of set the pavement for that. Then I started going and I got down to, like, Grand Theft Auto. Like, we all know that was not a good game. Like, we remember Grand Theft Auto 3 when that came out, but in my opinion, Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 were complete utter trash because it was top-down. Wasn't that good.
Yeah, I remember. That was like wasn't there one called Chinatown Wars or something that kind of was top down on I think it was on the Game Boy.
Yeah,
Game Boy Advance or something.
Yep.
Yeah, so it went back to that style, but that was only the first one though, right? That was like that? The first Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, the first one and the second were like that.
Were like that. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Intelligent Cube, I don't know what that is. Jumping Flash, don't know what that is. Mr. Driller, I don't know what that is. Apes Odyssey, I think they remade that already. And then Resident Evil, Rayman, Revelations Persona. I never heard of that game. They got Siphon Filter, but then they put a game like Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. What?
Yeah.
Why not put like Marvel's Capcom? We were talking Marvel's Capcom, Marvel Superheroes, or something of that nature. Maybe I had the licensing deal; they couldn't do it.
Well, so yeah, I mean, case in point is that this list was not great, and I think it's understandable that Sony couldn't get. I don't know what. I mean, obviously we don't know the details, but
a lot of these games are available already on the market
on their platform.
On the platform. Yeah. So if I wouldn't buy they put games on there that they should have put games on there that's not on their market.
Yeah, like Final Fantasy VIII or 9. Yeah. Like, give it some love to some of the lesser known games, right? Exactly. And there's a ton of RPGs in the PS1 era that I personally like that I would have loved to have seen on there. Like the fact that Final Fantasy Tactics isn't on there.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy Tactics is a
give me a break,
game.
guys.
Yeah,
like, come on, that should have been auto. I know that's on platforms that you can buy everywhere. I mean, you can get it on fucking phones, but like the fact that it's not
on fucking Final Fantasy 7 on phones.
Yeah, I know, and that was on there. So it's like, come on, like you didn't get that, or I would have loved to see something like Tactics Ogre maybe, or or any of the like Legend of Dragoon, Legend of Legaia, any of those kind of games. Like I didn't play a lot of them, but like. There's a lot of beloved RPGs on the PS1, and I think they really underserve the audience by not putting some of those RPGs on there, because I think a lot of the people that liked PS1 and like it now are into those RPGs. That's what moved that console. That's why that console was popular.
You had games like Parasite Eve that was made by Square Enix or Squaresoft at the time. Shout out to Squaresoft, man. Miss y'all. But yeah, it was just a lot of games they missed, in my opinion. Soul Blade, which is before the Soul Calibur series came out. It's called Soul Blade. Yep. They could put that on there. I mean, they put Tekken 3 on there, but in my opinion, I grew up with Tekken 2. But 3, a lot of people do agree that 3 is more superior. I don't know, man. Like,
but I pulled up the list of Super NES classic games. If you look through this, can you tell me a single game on this list that's actually bad? Like, there isn't a single game on here I think is actually a bad game.
Not only if it's not bad, it's well known. Like, I know,
but they're high quality.
List.
I mean, like, yeah, you got Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, F-Zero, Super Metroid, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Punch Out or Super Punch Out rather, Castlevania 4, Donkey Kong
Star
Country,
Fox 1 and 2,
Mega Man X, Kirby Superstar, Final Fantasy 3, Kirby's Dream Course, Star Fox, then Star Fox 2, which was a game that's never been released. So I heard it was bad, but the thing is, it's kind of cool to just have it in there, though. It's like a cool, like, little novelty add-in. Yoshi's Island, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, fucking love that game. Contra 3, Secret of Mana, Earthbound, and then Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Like, that is an awesome fucking list. Like I know some of these games on here, some people would probably say not that great, like Super Punch Out maybe, or I don't know, but people love fucking Contra. Like, I don't personally like Contra, but people love that series. And then I don't know, maybe Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I like that game, but it is kind of a dumb little game. But other than that, though, this is high quality shit, man.
It is high quality, and every game on that list was either I've heard of it, I played it. Yep. Or
I have heard of every single one of these games.
Yeah,
every single one of them.
Every single one. Or if I didn't play it, and this is the brilliance of Nintendo, I seen those characters already on Marvel or Super Smash Brothers.
Yep.
Unfortunately, PlayStation tried to do their own version of Super Smash Brothers, was stupid. But anyway, I think instead of doing a PlayStation Classic, they should have did a PS2 Classic. I think those would have sold way more. They could have put games on there that weren't on the PS, that aren't on the market because you have to buy the PS Now shit.
That's true, yeah.
And I feel like the games list for that is crazy. Like,
I mean, it's similar to the PS1, though. I have a feeling it would have been a similar situation where they would not have been able to get, or they would not have gotten a lot of the good games.
I disagree. Oh, you talking about the game list they would have put on there?
Yeah, I think it would have been a similar list where it would have been a lot of shit that you're like, what the fuck is this game?
They probably would have Final Fantasy X back on there.
Yeah, you definitely have Final Fantasy X. You might have MGS2,
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, they were testing the waters with this, but you don't test the waters with something that's shitty. Like, you test the water, you put your best foot forward to test the waters to see what it is, see how, like best case scenario, how does this thing do? You don't half-ass it and then you're like, oh well, didn't do well enough, so I guess we're not doing a PS2 Classic. Like, you're not serving your audience when you do stuff like this. Like, people want these things. I think people would love a PlayStation Classic, like PS1 Classic done properly with a proper list. I think people would love a PS2 Classic. It would be like, there's a ton of games on there that they could put on there that would be fantastic, but I don't think Sony in its current form is capable of making the right choices to make this thing a high quality product.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Sony's definitely have their heads so far up their butts right now. They can smell their own farts before it comes out. Like, I just think, unfortunately, yeah, like you said, we're probably not going to get a PS2 Classic now that this didn't sell well. But I feel like they had started out with a PS2 Classic, and what they should have done, if you don't, you know how vast the library is for that. Nintendo kind of hit it out the park with theirs because even though SNES has a vast library, they know all their major IPs. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they have a lot of third-party. PlayStation or Sony has a lot of third parties. Yeah. So what they could have done was like, hey guys, we're coming up with this PS2 Classic. Give us a list or vote a list of what games you have to play. Like how Microsoft does with their backwards compatibility. They go based off votes.
For sure.
Yeah, and they could have.
But see, Sony doesn't communicate with their audience that way.
Yeah,
they've become so silent with the audience, and sometimes that's a good thing, but a lot of times it's a bad thing. And I think this is a situation where it's just like, this feels like we work at a big company, and I've seen projects fail before, and I feel like I know kind of how this went. Is that they probably gave this to a team within Sony that didn't have the resources to really make this happen in a good way, and they did their best, but their best was this. And if they had, I feel like they probably got mismanaged, where they didn't have enough resources, or the people at the top didn't want to put the effort forth to really make this thing shine. And it's so fortunate to see. Like, I don't know, like when they announced this thing, I was kind of I was kind of excited about it, but at the same time, I just kind of figured this was what was going to happen. I expect this out of Sony, which is not a good place for them to be. This is my expectation with them. And we were talking about last week. You were talking about how like I play a lot of Sony games and like the Sony bias or whatever. But this is my point. I don't trust this company as much as I prefer their products. I don't trust them to make decisions that are beneficial to me as a consumer. Yeah, they don't. They just don't.
That's totally
they've totally flipped. They've totally flipped on their head. Where we're going to talk about this a lot going into the PS5 release, but they have completely switched tracks from where they were at the beginning of this generation, where they were the cool company. They were the ones making the quippy little jokes, making fun of Microsoft. You know, oh shit, you know, you wanna let your friend borrow your games. This is how you do it. And they had that little video, you know, them just handing the game over. Like that, we're so far away from that now. Like Microsoft's that company now. Nintendo that company now. Like Sony's the one who was at Microsoft at the end of last generation. They're the ones who are hyper corporate, don't communicate with their audience, think they know what everybody wants, and they don't. That's the reality. Is I don't know why they're doing this again, because they did this at the end of the PS2 generation into the PS3, and that failed them at that point as well.
Yeah.
But they're doing the same stuff again, and it's really alarming for me as a PlayStation fan.
Well, you already know what my prediction for PS5 is. It's going to come with a mandatory PlayStation VR.
I think you're crazy. That's not going to happen. But
watch. If it doesn't happen,
I mean,
if it doesn't happen,
the thing would cost $600 or $700, dude. There's no way.
With the Kinect, I think PlayStation is up there where Microsoft is at right now. They're actually above that, and they're like, oh man, you know what? This PlayStation VR is like really kind of taking off a little bit because people are buying it. Like normal people are buying it. And I think now that when PS5 comes out, they're just going to be like, hey, man, you know what you got to have mandatory? PlayStation VR. And people are like, no, I don't want this product. Like, I don't want it. And and let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, it would be cool if they do come out with two versions of it. Yeah. Like, the PlayStation 5 controller and everything, and they got the PlayStation 5 VR. Controller, move, and everything like that. That would be cool, but I don't think they're
going to do that. I think there will be a PlayStation VR 2. I don't think they're going to bundle it with the console. That would be a death sentence. Like there's no way they're going to do
that. I wouldn't put it past them.
I don't think Sony's that dumb right now. I really don't think they're that dumb.
Microsoft was that dumb.
But that's Microsoft. they're different. Anyways, okay. Yeah, point is the PlayStation Classic looks like it hasn't been selling well, so Sony's discounted it. If you want one, you can get one at $60 now, which I think is actually maybe a reasonable price for it. So, you know. All right. So moving on.
Yeah, buddy.
So we didn't talk about this last week. I forgot about this. I kind of was thinking about it during the week, though. So we kind of want to mention this. This was announced earlier in the month, but so Monster Hunter World is getting a big DLC expansion called Iceborne. It's going to be adding G-Rank. It's going to be adding G-Rank, and it's going to be adding an ice map, which is one thing that's missing from Monster Hunter World.
Yeah.
And it's going to be adding, who knows, some certain amount of monsters. I would expect somewhere in the realm of 15 to 20, hopefully, but we'll see on that.
We already, I don't know if this is like a rumor, is on the Monster Hunter Reddit, but they already had rumors of a glacier basil goose or whatever.
I think they enjoy it's basil goose. They enjoy trolling their fans because that monster is in the game just to troll you. That's all it is. And if they're gonna make an ice version that freezes you and shit, I mean, please Capcom, please don't do this. Please don't do this.
Please do this so Justin can get more
fuck
mad.
You, man. No, this is not okay. Okay, like we have enough of that monster. Okay,
I love it and hate it just because it is a big troll. Like I think the whole point of that monster existence in that game is just to fuck with you, and it's so fucking.
It is.
It's so.
You
cool
hunted like once as an actual hunt, and like it's like a. I mean, it's one of the tempered unlocks for the higher hunter ranks, and that mission you have to kill two of them, and you know what happens? They end up just fighting each other because they're so busy fucking trolling you that they end up just hitting each other, and then they start fighting, and I'm just sitting there like, hey, what up, guys? All right, cool, just go at it over there because this monster is stupid. Like it doesn't attack you, like it flies above you and drops shit, but I feel like it never ever hits me. It's just there to like get in the way, like not actually like hit you or hurt you or anything, but it just like it hinders hinders your ability to kill what you're trying to kill.
Yeah, like every time it trolls you, every time it comes out of nowhere to fight, it never actually fights you. It fights the monster. Like, that's what I did notice. I don't know if they patched that. Like, maybe they changed the AI a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but I just thought that was really, really
well,
funny.
so, okay. Anyways, so what are your thoughts on this expansion? Because they also announced that there's going to be like a Witcher little collab event, which looks kind of cool. I'm not planning on touching it anytime soon, but I'll probably go into it when the G-Rank expansion comes out. But what are your thoughts on this G-Rank expansion?
I can't wait for it. Like, I just... that's the reason I put Monster Hunter World down for a while, because I burnt myself out of it really quickly. Like we said, because there's only a couple of monsters, and I mean, I know I know a lot of newcomers came to Monster Hunter, and but they had the same issues too. Like, they got burnt out or whatever. But a lot of people didn't want to go back, and get the Switch version or the Switch game called
Monster Hunter Generations.
Which has over like 96 monsters, and even the G-Rank variants are different.
That's a deceptive number, because it's actually more than that, because that doesn't count the deviants.
That
doesn't count variants either. That was 96 unique monsters.
Yeah,
but there's deviant versions of the monsters that are completely different. Like, they act completely differently from their base forms.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if that includes I think that includes the Elder Dragons, though. They're in the game, right?
It does.
Okay.
And then, not to mention, with Generations, you had the styles that can change. That totally changes the way you hunt with each weapon. So each weapon, there's already 14 weapons in the game.
Yeah, 14.
And each style has each weapon has 6 styles that changes it almost drastically to the way you fight. And with Monster Hunter World, it's hard for me to get back into that game, because you don't have a style for each weapon. You just have the base form of it. And I'm hoping in this game, in Iceborne, they give you maybe another style, like maybe a depth style or something like that. Just I really want the style.
Add some depth to the combat, because I think that was. We're going to talk about this next week, because we're going to be doing Game of the Year discussion. We ended up punting that because we needed a little time to play a couple games, but I think this game, that was one of my biggest gripes with this game, was the depth of the combat was pretty shallow. Yeah. I felt like, and after playing Generations, that confirmed that for me, because
do you think it's just because we're vets?
No, it's not that at all, because I've told you, I played Dual Blades in World, and I played it in Generations, and in World you have 2 or 3 combos, and that's pretty much it. That's all you have. And Generations has way more depth to it with the skills, and the styles change up what combos you have access to as well.
Yeah.
And World's just it's really simplistic. It's really mostly focused on dodging. You get an opportunity to use your combo and you use it, and that's pretty much it with Dual Blades. I
just think they underestimated people's ability to grind, because a lot of people do like grinding. Because that's why Destiny 1 was so successful, is the grind.
Yeah.
And I think they underestimated, because like you mentioned earlier today. Or yesterday, when we were talking to one of our other friends who plays Monster Hunter, it's really easy to get armor. It's really easy to get.
It is extremely easy. You need to hunt the monster twice.
Yeah,
and you have enough parts to make his entire set generally.
Yeah. Even to get rare stuff like a Rathlos ruby or gem or something like that, whereas it's a 1% drop in Generations or something like that, so you got to hunt it constantly. Whereas in this game, it has a 10%.
I was getting him every third hunt.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's really easy to get him as long as you break all the parts and stuff like that, which I thought was a cool thing. But they really did. I know they kind of lowered it for the West, but I think they underestimated the West ability for grinding.
Or desire. Well, I think it's not necessarily just the grind element of it. It's just that it made the progression of the game too fast and too easy.
Yeah,
because you'd make a set of armor, and you're within 5 hours you're already looking for a replacement set. Whereas with Generations, you spend 10 hours trying to make a set, and then you use that set for 30 hours. It's that investment actually is worthwhile.
Yeah.
Grinding monsters out of Generations. I feel like in World it wasn't as worthwhile.
But how can they balance that? How can they balance it without making it tedious? Because we got burnt out of Generations.
I think you just increase the amount of stuff you need to make the items. Yeah. You don't touch the drop rates. I think the drop rates are fine. Yeah. I think it feels good to get a ruby every third hunt, or plate every third hunt. I think you just increase the amount of stuff you need, so that you need to hunt them a few more times.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think that's all they really need to do. But I'm excited about this G rank because G rank is what makes Monster Hunter fun for me. That's the ultimate difficulty, and it's always the one that's like truly challenging, where you really actually have to be good at the game to complete the hunts.
You have no idea. We played Generations, and we were steamrolling through high ranked and low ranked. We got to the G ranked, and we were like, yo, okay, we gotta change shit up now. Like,
we actually had to pay attention.
Yeah, we had to
and
focus on everything.
Like we had to focus on our own positioning too, like where we were relative to one another, like shit like that. Like that's how hard it was. Like you couldn't like line up for the monster and shit and like do dumb stuff. Like
you had to actually know what you were doing. You had to use the traps and stuff that were available to you and things. And then we discovered items that were actually in the game for a long time. The Monster Hunter franchise for a long time, like the smoke bomb. Didn't fucking know what that was for. But when we got into the arena and I watched someone else use a smoke bomb and the monsters weren't attacking us when we were attacking another monster, I was like, oh, this is what this is used for. And G rank like brought that out. Not to mention, like, once you learn a monster in G rank or in like low rank and high rank, you may think you know this monster. For instance, like the Rathlos or whatever. You may think you know this, or no, the Rathian. You may think you know her. She primarily just does fireballs and charge at you. But in like G ranked, she like does flips in the air and tail
she gets
whips
a couple.
You.
She gets a couple extra. Every monster kind of gets a couple extra attacks. So they layer the difficulty on a little bit more, and I appreciate that challenge because it really pushes you to use everything at your disposal. Like you were saying, the smoke bombs and things, just like little items that you don't need to care about because the game's not difficult enough. But in G rank you need to use some of that stuff, and I really like that design. That it kind of builds you up to that point through low and high rank. So I think that like that challenge was missing in World for me. Is I just think high rank's too easy. It's not. I'm not trying to sit here and say like I'm fucking some elitist ass hardcore Dark Souls motherfucking pro.
A lot of people
like
said that though. A lot of people said that it's really easy. Even first timers, they're like, once I got the hang of it, like it got kind of easy, and I'm like, yeah. It does.
Well, the monsters don't punish you for making mistakes. Because they don't do enough damage. That's what G rank changes. Like, you're not in G rank, you're not allowed to get into a combo and let the monster hit you. That's not a thing you can do in G rank. Like if you do that, you're going to lose half your fucking health bar.
I think they're also going to change, which is kind of what made the game a little bit easier, is the environmental damage, like the paratoads and stuff like that.
There was a lot of design in World with the environmental changes, the way mounting worked, and everything.
That made sense to me.
And how easy it is to play multiplayer as well just makes the game naturally easier.
Yeah.
So I think that's what excites me about G rank, is that all that is going to get pushed to the limit with this.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing that excites me with this is that we're getting an ice zone, is because that's my favorite zone in Monster Hunter generally, or the ice areas.
Hate the ice zone, but
I love them.
I
man.
like the way it looks.
I like the monsters in the ice areas, and I'm really excited to see what they do with them in Monster Hunter World with the environmental kind of interactions and things like that.
Get a couple of avalanches or something like that.
That would exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, stuff like that. That would be so cool to see, or like ice cracking or something like that. Like if you're like on an ice lake or something like that, and like you're fighting a giant ass monster. I feel like it would maybe break the ice potentially. Yeah, depending on how thick it is.
You're definitely right. Because like even with Worlds, like that whole. I was just amazed, and I still get amazed to this day, when you're in that Rathlos nest and that whole waterfall breaks.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? Yeah. If we had stuff like that, that would be kind of cool. So I'm kind of expecting that. I'm hoping for 15 to 20 monsters. I feel like that's a little much. However...
See, your number's way lower than mine. I was hoping like 30 monsters, but 15 to 20 is doable.
I think I'm trying to be realistic.
Yeah.
I think 30 would be amazing, but that's a lot to ask, considering the main game only had 30 to 35 at launch.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
I think 15 to 20 is a decent ask, because they can kind of reskin. Some of the monsters are reskins potentially from the main game.
So what's your most anticipated monster you're looking forward to?
For ice? Oh, man.
Or just in general?
God, I mean, they haven't announced any yet, so I would really...
Which one would you... I said anticipated. So which one would you really like to be in the game?
The thing in World that bugs me is actually the low and mid-tier monsters. There aren't very many of them. like things like the Jagras and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily want, or I want like the Lagombi, the one that's like a Azuros, the bear monster that, but it has like the bunny ears and it slides around and shit. Like I'd like to see that monster. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a fun monster to fight.
Yeah, they don't have any like mid-tier monster.
No,
like,
and the mid-tier is pretty light as well. So I would like to see something like maybe the Blaganga, the giant, the giant.
We do need some more monkey monsters.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
I need more variety in the types of monsters.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter World was full of reptilian dragon type monsters, and I need more of the like.
And I think they did that just to set their precedence. Like,
yes,
this is what
I agree, and I think they were trying to impress people, and I
Yeah.
think they think Westerners like that shit.
Yeah.
But dude, like I'd love to see Nurskella, which is kind of a mid-tier monster, which is a giant spider monster. I like that monster.
That
I
thing
think
would look beautiful in the world.
yes, it would, and it would fit in the ice environment as well, and some of the other environments that exist as well.
Yeah.
And then I think the other one is. I hate this monster, but Kezu would be cool as well.
I love that
I fucking
monster.
hate that monster, but I think it would work really well within World, and I think they could really accentuate some of the mechanics they've done with that monster in the past, because it's a monster that can't see, it's blind. So it just focuses on hearing. So it'd be kind of cool if the fight was a little more unique.
Yeah.
If they made it a little bit more unique, where
like if you run over a puddle of water,
it like charges you or something like that. Like you have to be more aware of where you're stepping and things like that. That would be cool if they did that with that monster too. So those, like, I know those are all small monsters, but those would be cool for me. There is one more too that I didn't mention. This is kind of a higher tier monster. I think isn't there like a saber-toothed tiger?
Barioth.
Barioth?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
That's the one with the horn. Who kind
That looks like a Tigrex?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
It's Barioth.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah. I don't. That's not the one I'm thinking of.
Which one are you thinking about?
I'm not sure. I don't remember. But that does remind me though. Other ones. I don't know if this isn't necessarily ice specific, but I think there's been kind of some rumors because there were some plushies released of Zynoger and then Tigrex.
Yeah.
I would love to see both of those in World. I think they work. The way those fights work really well with World's mechanics. Because World's really fast, and those two monsters are very fast monsters.
Yeah, and Tigrex, like in the original games, he's in the desert, he's in the ice area, so I think that would be really good. I just want to see some more ape and insect monsters.
Yes.
I do want to see the Celtis make a comeback.
Celtis would be cool. Yeah.
The Nurskella, like you were saying. I do want to see, like, I don't like the Congalala. I don't really like that ape monster. I like the other ones, like the
Blaganga,
the Rajang. I really want to see Rajang.
Oh, Rajang would be fucking awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
I really want to see him in
that fight would be really fun in World. I think that would be really cool.
And I think it would be like a really cool fight to see if he did like a turf war with like the Diablos. Like he may jump on it and pull his head off or something like that.
Oh my god!
That shit would be
just
dope.
thinking about that thing because so the Rajang, if you haven't played Monster Hunter before or you haven't fought a Rajang,
bull.
It's a giant fucking gorilla bull basically, and this thing is ripped out of its fucking ass, dude. Like this thing could tear you in half.
It literally
was in
goes
front of
Super Saiyan when it does its beam
yeah.
cannon.
Oh yeah. So it's like an electric. It's got electric attacks too.
Yeah.
So when he gets mad, when he gets really angry, he goes into this like Super Saiyan form where all his fur gets electrified and he just like it just shoots up into the like straight up.
Yeah.
And he looks crazy. Like he looks so terrifying.
He looks terrifying as fuck.
But the thing is like, yeah, I would love to see him against something like a Diablos, like you're saying, because dude, he just grab those fucking horns and just rip them off, man. Like, God, dude, that would be awesome. Like,
or we can get my personal favorite monsters, the Rajang and is it the Brachiodos? How you pronounce it?
Brachiodos.
I like that monster because he looks like a boxer, and I really want to see how he interact in the world.
Yeah, I like that one.
And another one I'm looking forward to is is it the Nargacuga? Yeah, the Nargacuga.
Nargacuga, yeah. That was teased in the trailer for this, so I think we're getting that monster.
Okay,
because that little swipe was the Nargacuga's claws, I think.
Yeah,
that's what people are speculating at least.
That monster taught me a lot within freedom, like how to position myself and how to, for it to be the flagship monster for Monster Hunter Freedom and the PSP, it really taught you how to use your iframes for your dodge. And a lot of people like myself have a personal connection to that monster just because of like it teaches you like, oh, this is how we really hunt. Like this is a true hunt. and it was really fast, and it would jump off screen, which is like a really good thing. And this was like back in the PS2 days, and it does it still now, where it still whoops your ass, you know. So
one more monster too that I'd like to see, and this is a Generations monster that's a really new one, but I really enjoyed. This is the flagship monster for Generations Ultimate. Is Valstrax. I really fucking like that fight, and
except
I
for that
really
bullshit spin movie. Dude.
It is bullshit, but no, I like the fight overall, and I really like I love the music for it.
Yeah,
I think he would work really well in World as well. Just the way he's designed and works, like it's a really fluid fight that you have to kind of be constantly on your toes for. Which I think those fights are the best ones for World. The ones with downtime are just super easy in World.
They don't need any more like digging monsters.
We don't need like Gravios or
fucking.
We don't need none of those slow ass monsters like that, or Duramboros. We don't need things like that.
I hate that monster because it's a boring fight.
It is a boring fight, and I think World is better with faster fights, like ones that are more constant, where monsters are kind of on top of you a lot. Like Tigrex would be really good for it. As much as I hate that monster, like I think it would be a really good fight in World.
Yeah, I think one thing they should stop doing, or not stop, but if they're gonna do it, make it more unique. Like these giant monsters, like the Zora Magnaros, the Lung Shao.
You're talking about like the Elder Dragons.
The Elder Dragons.
Yeah.
Like it would be cool instead of it just being like a 4-person raid, like an 8-person raid. I think that would be cool.
They did that. Okay.
Did they do it? The Zora Magnaros was
no.
8-person?
So do you remember the Kulve Taroth that was released as post?
Oh yeah.
So. That's not exactly what you're talking about. However, that's a monster that you fight 4 people, but you're in a quote-unquote siege. So there's 3 other groups fighting the same monster, but you don't see them. They're not in your instance of the fight. So you're all fighting it individually, but you're contributing to the same like damage and whatnot.
So it's like one area that's like my area for my squad, and then okay, that makes sense.
But they're not like rendered in a different area. Like it's just your group together, but the game's keeping track of all 4 parties. So they kind of have that, but I would like to see like 8 monsters that have like can allow 8 players that are hard enough where you fight them with 8 people. That would be really interesting.
I mean, and like not having them walk in the straight path, like us go toe to toe with the fucking monster. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's like a real fight. It's like a regular fight.
Yeah,
because that is my biggest gripe with Monster Hunter is all these title monsters a lot of the time are just like they're designed completely differently from the rest of the game. And they're never fun. They take you out of the experience, and you have to use these stupid like ballista and cannons and shit.
I thought that was cool when I first did it, but then once you do it,
just grows old though. Yeah, it grows old so fast because it's not fun. It's completely different from the rest of the game. You don't use any of the items that you have, like, and you're just running back and forth, like, and you have you feel like you have no control over what's happening either, because like if the monster decides to hit you, like, you don't have time to dodge. Like if
it's so big,
it's just like it just hits you. So
it would be very interesting. Like if maybe
I hope we don't get any of those with this DLC.
If they do, like even if it's for like future titles or whatever, even if they do, like scale down the monster so that it can be fast enough to fight 8 people, so we can react to it.
Yeah.
Or like have like I don't know 2 fucking Nergigantes, like maybe scaled up to where you have to use 8 hunters, and
it's so big that you have to fight it with 8
like
people.
Like that one monster we were fighting. What the fuck is that monster that goes into like a fucking Voltron Gundam style? The insect monster that kind of builds.
You're talking about from Generations.
Generations, yeah.
Yeah, it was Altal Ka or something like that. I think that was the final. That was the final monster.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really cool fight.
Yeah, it was a really cool fight. I think it was weird with 4 people. Like you're right about that. I think it would have been. That is a monster actually. See that fight's cool because it's like that monster was really small. Like it's a small it's a small monster, but it like uses debris and stuff to make itself bigger and things like that. It was really interesting. Like, so that would be kind of cool. So I'm pretty excited for this expansion. I was waiting for this announcement. I was hoping it would be sooner. It's set for fall next year. But that does give them time, hopefully, to put in the 15 or 20 monsters that I'm talking about, because that will be a year and 9 months after launch, I think. So that's a pretty good time frame, I think, for them to release a big DLC like this.
Yeah. So let's go on to our next topic, which is the Blizzard buyouts, right?
Yep. So next topic. It's kind of a follow up to last week. I started seeing this week. It's just a small thing, but kind of building off what we were talking about. So Blizzard's been reportedly there was apparently in Europe somewhere, one of Blizzard's offices in Europe. They have this program where they buy out employees, where they will buy out an employee's contract, or basically they'll pay them a lump sum of money to leave the company with no strings attached. Like, they won't be technically fired, they won't have quit. It's just kind of a parting ways equally with no animosity towards each other or whatever. And apparently 100 people in one of their offices in Europe took this opportunity.
You know I hate being right. I hate it.
Well,
sometimes.
it's just an interesting thing, because I'm starting to see these articles pop up too of people speculating, like, is this the end of Blizzard? Is Activision devouring Blizzard? And this is really starting to feel like
Ooh,
yeah,
the little shoulder thing you did. Yeah.
Hey man, but I'm starting to feel like that. Yeah, I think we're starting to see the end. Like, this Blizzard's going to be different, like considerably different going forward,
Man, and like, this is what we were talking about last week. And if you can hear us in that podcast, I hope our audio sounds a lot better, but it does. It should sound a lot better.
We worked on it this time, so.
Yeah. But if you got to that part, we were both very emotional about Blizzard, because a lot of us, both me and Justin, a lot of other gamers grew up on Blizzard, whether it be you played on the console with what was it?
Rock and Roll Racing, baby.
Rock and Roll Racing, and it got me into PC gaming with StarCraft and just sci-fi in general, because I really wasn't into sci-fi like that. I watched Star Trek, but like the depth of story for StarCraft got me into there, and then World of Warcraft got me into MMOs and things of that nature. So I think, to see this company just fall, like, and get swallowed up by Activision, like, I think it is the sign of the times for them, unfortunately, and I don't want to see them go, but business is business.
Yeah, it's just the natural evolution of the them merging with Activision. I feel like this was the ultimate end. Always, this was always where we were going to end up, whether it was now, 10 years from now, what have you. I don't think Activision was going to be able to keep their hand out of the cookie jar forever. I think Blizzard is a company that has an extremely powerful name within gaming, and I think Activision eventually was going to come to the conclusion that we can take advantage of that and make a ton of money off of it, and it's going to kill the company, but so be it. I don't think they care about that,
I just don't even know what to say. Like, I don't understand why game companies don't understand that it's not about milking a customer. If you make a quality product, customers will flock to you. So, this is a primary example. Like, also, like, we're talking about, this kind of segues into another topic we're going to talk about was, EA and EA
Battlefield, yeah.
Just their stock is dropping.
Yeah.
And actually, all the game companies' stocks are dropping as well. And we don't know if it's because, like, investors are pulling out of tech, but I feel like it's because gamers are probably like, yo, we're tired of this bullshit of all these microtransactions.
It's been a bad couple of years for game companies. Particularly the big ones like EA and Activision.
And the thing is, games have been actually making more money. It's just that the nickel and diming things, it's really taking a toll. And unfortunately,
we're gonna get into this in a moment too. Like, Steam released their sales charts, and I don't know if you want to get into this now. Actually,
you can jump right into it.
Yeah, so the last story we have is that Steam released their top 100 selling games for the entire year of 2018. And this includes all sales related to the game. So DLC, the actual game itself, any microtransactions within the game. This was like gross revenue that they generated. So there's some really interesting games on this list. At the top of the list, they kind of split it into tiers. So platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. And in the platinum tier, we have some games like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Civilization 6. You have your Dota 2s, Warframe, Monster Hunter World. There's a good diversity of games that are selling just the game itself, and then games that are free selling microtransactions.
Yeah.
So, like, there are there's a good spread of both. So it seems like to me it's like it makes sense, because I think there's a space for both of these things, and I think the games that are in here that are free to play, they do free to play in a way that doesn't ruin the game,
Yeah,
right?
especially like if you talk to anyone, everyone gives Warframe and its developers the praise of God because they actually listen to their community.
They do. They have like a weekly show
Yeah.
talking to their community too.
Yeah, and their microtransactions aren't aggressive or anything like that. You can play the game without even using the microtransactions. Then we already know about Dota, how they have their system set up where you don't need the skins to play the games.
Now, I will say, Dota 2, the game is free. You get every character unlocked automatically. Like, you don't buy characters in Dota 2. This isn't like League has it set up differently, where you have to buy the characters to be able to play as them.
Yeah, but
they have a free rotation every week that they do.
Can use in-game
And
credits.
you can earn in-game currency to unlock the champions. However, I vastly prefer the Dota model because, I don't want to be restricted. Like, if there's a counter to a character in the game that I'm playing, I want to be able to pick that character. You know, I don't want to be restricted by the fact that I haven't played enough, haven't paid enough, what have you, or it's just not in the free rotation that week. I don't want to be restricted by that. So I prefer Dota's. However, Dota is one of the birthplaces of loot boxes, and I think it's not been talked about a lot because Blizzard took a lot of flack for this with Overwatch because they're the ones that kind of popularized it. However, I'm putting Valve to the fire here because Dota's the one that really started this shit. Like, they've had loot boxes in the game since it fucking came out in 2012, and they've gotten worse and worse and worse and worse with it, and everything in that game is almost obtained through loot boxes. Like, all the skins almost. There's some skins you can buy in the shop, but they're shitty skins that nobody wants, and the ones that people do want cost $35, like, in the Valve shop.
That was insane. When I was looking at the skins, I first played Dota, it was one skin that I looked up. It was, like, almost $200.
Yeah, so they have these skins called Arcanas, that they're special skins that Valve makes that change the animations that the characters have. Like, they'll change, like, ability animations and shit. And that is one of the popular things in Dota with skins. So they have those. Those are the ones that cost $35. But the one you probably saw was probably like a special from a seasonal loot box that is really difficult to obtain. Like, you need to spend probably $200 in loot boxes just to get a chance to get that skin.
That's insane.
Yeah. And those ones also change animations, so those are the ones that are worth a lot of money. So Valve, like, that's my issue with Dota 2 is, like, I don't know. I don't begrudge them it because it doesn't affect the game. It really doesn't.
No,
you know?
It doesn't.
It doesn't affect the game at all. However, they push it so hard that it's always in the back of your mind. Like, you'll see people playing with these skins. So, yes, it doesn't affect gameplay, but they're trying to get you to buy them. Like, that's not a thing you can deny. They're not in the game just to be there for fun. Like,
yeah, and people are pretty familiar with skins now that, like, Fortnite kind of actually popularized it more than Overwatch with skins. And we know that it doesn't alter gameplay. You know, you may get different emotes and things of that nature. But the one game I'm, like you said, that you're surprised about, that I'm not really too surprised about, is Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, I saw this on there. This is in the platinum list, so this is one of the top 12 sellers in this entire year for Steam.
So as much as we give, I would say Activision, but Bethesda shit last week. One thing they did do good is they fixed the fuck out of Elder Scrolls. I bought it.
This isn't made by Bethesda proper though. This is made by ZeniMax Online, which is owned by Bethesda, the publishing arm of Bethesda. So,
but I mean, I still gotta give them props. ZeniMax Online, because this game when it came out, it was not fun to play, and then I bought the game actually on sale when it came out, like maybe 2-3 months after it came out, and they actually improved a lot within that 3 months. And I had a guild, and me and my friends were playing. Like, this game was really fun. So I can only imagine what they did now. That was about 2 years ago. So I can only imagine what they did now. And it's actually a really fun game to play. It's really different. You can customize your class to anything you want to be. You can be like a rolling tank mage if you want to be it's crazy. So I mean, I'm kind of glad to see that on the list. I'm glad to see Monster Hunter on the platinum list.
Yeah, some other interesting ones in the gold list. Witcher 3 is in there, which is impressive for a game that came out 3 years ago. Same with Assassin's Creed Origins, that came out last year. That game had a pretty long tail. It looks
what about
like
that Jurassic Evolution, man.
Yeah, so this one, I don't know much about it, but I heard about it earlier in the year, and some Twitch streamers were playing it. It seems like it got a lot of traction, clearly, because it's in this gold list, so it's one of the top, I think this is 25 sellers, probably.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. Stellaris is on here. That's another impressive one. I'm surprised that's there. And then you were mentioning Black Desert Online.
Oh, my God. I just... Guys, why? Like, it is this remastered, so I guess I don't know why it's remastered on PC. I can understand them putting a remaster tag on the console version because it never was on console.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand what's so remastered about it. I guess I gotta look into that because it was actually a free to play game. So I don't know now.
Yeah,
it's not free to play. It looks like it's $5.
Well, that might be a special
okay
version that comes with skins or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know how these
I'm actually really
MMOs are.
surprised to see that Dead by Daylight
Yep.
on there as well because I remember that Jason game came out, kind of copied the style of that.
Yeah, the Friday the 13th game.
Yeah. And I thought this game actually died, but it looks like it's actually still doing really
going
good.
strong apparently. And then one other one I want to mention here because I'm gonna mention it in relation to another game on this list is Divinity Original Sin 2. This game came out in 2017, still selling pretty well here, so it's got a pretty good tail as well. I have not played it. I want to play it. I've heard it's very, very, very good. Particularly compared to the first one, which I liked but didn't love.
Mm-hmm.
So good for Larian though. Those guys, they're working hard over there, and I think they do a good job. They want to make a good game, so I appreciate that. So moving on to the silvers, there's not much on here for me that really jumps out, but I think there were a couple that you said that were interesting.
Yeah. Only one I was really interested in is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Guys, like, what the hell? Like, I understand you guys think it's like a Uncharted knockoff, but it's actually not. It's actually a really fucking good game.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was still in the gold. I know it came out in September-ish. I know it came out around
so this is for the whole year. So the games that came out this year, obviously certain ones have an advantage over others, depending on when they were released. Like Monster Hunter World came out. Well, the thing is, Monster Hunter World came out on PC in the summer, so it wasn't out for the whole year.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, this game's really good. I hate to see that it's so low in silver. I'd rather see it in gold because it's a really good game. Another game that I wanted to mention which is probably going to disappear next year, is Dragon Fighter Z.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, let's go down to the bronze real quick. And I know Justin had one he really wanted to talk about in that one.
Yeah, so in the bronze, there's a couple games actually in here. So this tier is kind of filled with games that have been out for a long time, for the most part. It's mostly games that have been out, like Skyrim's in here.
Final Fantasy 14.
Middle-earth, Shadow of War, Final Fantasy 14, XCOM 2, Rome 2, which came out a few years ago at this point. Like, it's a lot of games that have been out for a long time. Age of Empires 2 HD? What the fuck? So this is... This tier is really interesting because there's two games in here that I want to talk about. One's BattleTech, which I don't have much to say on it. It's a game that I was following personally that seems to have been pretty successful. Being in this tier, I'm not sure how successful, but they already have an expansion. They have a DLC plan going forward, so it seems like the game was worth their while, and they want to keep investing in it.
Yeah.
So good for those guys. But the other game I want to mention is Pillars of Eternity 2. So this one interests me because this game came out in April, and it did not sell as well as Divinity Original Sin 2, which is a similar game that came out last year. So that's not good.
And this is made from your guys at
Obsidian. Yeah, we talked about them last week, and I've done some interesting research this week. There was I was reading some Reddit threads and whatnot, and a lot of the evidence in there is anecdotal stuff. However, there were some people, because this game, Pillars of Eternity 2, was crowdfunded on a platform called Fig, which is an investment platform for games. Or I think it's for games. I think primarily for games, because one of the studio heads from Obsidian actually started Fig.
Yeah.
So Fergus Urquhart or whatever his name is. And the people who supported the game get dividends like an investor would for a company. And they got their first set of dividends, I think, last month or the month before. and I was seeing people on online that I was reading were saying that they only received about 19% of what their investment was, and this was 3 or 4 months after the game came out, which is generally a game's best-selling window.
So what's going on over there?
I don't know. This game
seems
like this game seems like it bombed. Like it seems like it did not do very well. Like people are speculating they think somewhere in the range of 150 to 200,000 units, which is not good for a game of this level and this caliber, for a studio of that caliber. And I kind of think that I had a different opinion on this last week with the Microsoft acquisition, but I'm starting to think that maybe this company was in trouble and Microsoft is coming in and saving the day, because this appearance on this list here, like, this isn't good. This isn't where you want to be when you're a game of this profile.
Yeah.
And you came out in April.
And this is primarily like a PC game. I know a lot of people play it on consoles too.
It's not out on consoles.
Oh, it's not on consoles?
Yeah, Pillars of Eternity 2 is not out on consoles yet.
Okay.
So that's the point though, is that this is all their revenue. This, I mean, obviously they may have it through their own store or something like that, but or GOG or something, or other stores, but this, I mean, like, Steam's probably their primary revenue source. So
yeah, like they're competing with Gary's mod. Like,
well, that's my point. Is like Borderlands 2 is on here in the bronze tier. You know, it's all games that are old. Civilization fucking 5, which came out, which 6 has been out for 2 years now.
Rise of
like
the Tomb Raider is on there.
Yeah, you know, Darkest Dungeon, which is like 5 years old.
I am surprised to see Soul Calibur 6 on there so soon.
Yeah, Soul Calibur 6. I mean, then you've got like Sword Art Online, Fatal Bullet, like. You're in a tier with games.
Anime, by the way, guys, terrible.
You're in a tier with games that just like aren't impressive. You know, it's like not things you want to be associated with when you're talking about bestsellers. You know. Yeah,
and like with moving back up to silver real quick, I just want to touch on it real quick here because I know we're about to move on. Dragon Ball FighterZ. That game is probably going to die next year, because the animation company, either the animation company or the company that owns them or owns the IP rights to the characters for Dragon Ball Z, I can't remember their name, but Toei Animations, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Toei, yeah. Really?
So what they're doing is they're going around canceling fighting game tournaments if they're playing this game, because they want a cut of the revenue.
The fuck?
Yeah, man. Like, this is the worst thing you can possibly do.
This is weird.
Yeah. This game is insanely popular.
Yeah.
And now fighting game tournaments aren't even hosting it anymore because they're afraid someone might come in, a representative.
Wait, so they're canceling the whole tournament?
Yeah, they're
like not just this game, but like everything.
Well, sometimes this game is the main thing in that tournament.
Yeah,
so you have tournaments just Dragon Ball fighters in the fighting game community.
Yeah.
Evo in Japan, they shut down the Dragon Ball fighters sector for that.
And they're doing this just because they own the rights? And
they want it to be sponsored by them. They need to have everything.
Wow. So they're going to kill this game because of that?
Yeah. Like, I don't know what's going on over there, but it's essentially killing the fighting game community scene. If you don't have anyone buying your games or not at tournaments, like, fighting games work a little bit different from other games. They work off word of mouth. People see them, and they get popular, and then that's how they work.
There are exceptions to that, but you're right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this game's going to shoot itself in the foot. Like, if they keep this up, if someone doesn't get a hold of their law division out there or something like that, this game will die by the beginning of next year.
That kind of sucks, man. Because I haven't played this, but I heard it's pretty good. Like,
it's a pretty good fighter.
It's probably one of the better fighters in the Dragon Ball franchise.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've told you this before, and one of my favorites is Budokai 3, but that's an old-ass game. Yeah. And this was a 2D fighter, though.
Yeah, people took this game seriously. You know? So, it's pretty sad, but we'll see when Evo comes around, if they cancel out of Evo. If that happens, then this game is officially dead.
Yeah, that's a shame, man. That sucks. That sucks to see that a company, like, just doesn't understand, like, or wants too much control and stuff like that. Like why don't you just why don't you approach it differently? Like get involved in the community, and then they'll reward you. You know.
Yeah. I mean, but a lot of these companies don't think like that. I mean, I know the culture for Japanese companies are a little bit different. Like, you remember how Konami was kind of like this as well, where they were just shutting stuff down and everything like that. So even Nintendo does that. Like, instead of getting involved,
they're getting a little better about it. But yeah.
So that's life.
All right, so moving on. That's it for the news this week. So we're gonna have 2 topics of the show this week. There's a couple things we wanted to go over. That's gonna be it for this week. We're not going over the games because there's pretty much nothing coming out this week of imports. So we will get back into that next week or the week after. So the first topic we wanted to talk about was mobile games. So me bringing up Monument Valley last week as a game that I played kind of put this in Montrell's head as something he wanted to talk about. And I don't know. So do you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, I had a question, and I wanted to know, your guys' opinion, your opinion. Do you consider mobile gamers or people who play mobile like should they be counted in the gaming stratosphere as
like we're talking people who exclusively play mobile games?
Yeah, should they be counted, or even casual gamers? Because like every time I see like a study done, they're like, oh, we talked to these many gamers, but then we find out that the actual gamers are like mobile gamers and like people who pick up a game every once in a while. Like, do you consider that a real, like, in my hobby gamer, like, as opposed to, I don't know?
So there's 2 different answers to this question. First answer, yes, I do consider them gamers.
Okay.
Second thing is the point about the surveys and stuff, that is on the people who conduct those surveys to understand the people that they're talking to. Yeah. Like, either they're doing it maliciously to skew their numbers to make things look better than they actually look, or they don't understand gaming. Like, yes, I consider them gamers, but they're different from us, like the 2 of us, right? They play games differently. Like I was saying last week with Diablo Mobile, they don't buy a device to play games on it. They have a device that can play games, so they play games on it. It's a different mentality. We buy devices specifically to play video games. So those are different groups.
I don't think companies should cater towards them. Like, the reason why I said that is because,
well, it depends on the company.
Today, with, like, the VR.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna make a mobile game, don't use like Sonic Mobile, like, or like
or Diablo Immortal. Perfect
Mobile.
example.
Like, I don't think like that should be used in the stratosphere of mobile gaming, because it can really tick people off. And like, I understand, like, just reading the article here, like that it made $50 billion last year. And that's over half. That's like a little bit under half of what gaming made in general, which is like which is $150 billion last year overall. But I mean,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all, though, because I mean, so I don't know what your history of mobile games is. Mine is pretty recent. When I say recent, I'd probably say within the last 4.5 years. So I didn't have a smartphone until 2013, probably, or 2014. I didn't really need one, and I didn't get one.
This is interesting.
So, my first foray into mobile games was Clash of Clans. Did you ever play? Have you ever played that game?
Jesus Christ! Everybody tried to get me to play that game, but I said no.
So that was my first foray into mobile games, and I played that game for about a year, and eventually I burned out on it because it is just a fucking trap. The whole thing's a trap. The game's designed to get money out of you. Things take exponentially more time to do the more you play.
Yeah.
And you have to put a ridiculous amount of time in the game to continue, like, to get enough resources to build shit.
Yeah.
So the game's just constantly pushing you to buy the microtransactions to, like, speed shit up, and the whole game's designed around that. And eventually it just gets to a point where it's like, you have to spend 2 hours raiding people just to get enough resources to build a fucking building. And it's like, I don't want to spend that much time on a mobile game. So fuck that shit. So go ahead.
So what's interesting is you know how a lot of game companies are trying to turn their main core games into like mobile, or trying to structure them around that. Like, for instance, Star Wars Battlefront 2. I just don't think they're looking at the numbers right, because I'm looking at these numbers, and 25% or 23%, which is the because you got to break down from 8%, 14%, 21%, 19%, 15%. So 23% is the biggest one of that pie.
Mm-hmm.
And of that pie, the gamers that play mobile are over the age of 65. So they're targeting the wrong people when they're putting this stuff in there.
Yeah.
On top of that, these people play the game. 50% of them play it, 10 times a week or whatever. Another thing is, the sex difference is, 63% of them are female, 37% of them are male. I just think it's interesting that 20, and I give them back to the age. 21% of them are between the ages of 25 and 34, probably because these people are at work and they're bored sometime or whatever. Yeah. But I find it interesting that the younger audience, which is what they're trying to attach to on like the consoles and stuff, only 8% of them play it, and that's 13 through 17. Only 14% of them 18 through 24 play it. So I just feel like they really don't know.
Well, interestingly, anecdotally, I would say that most of the people I know that play Candy Crush are like 50 plus years old. Like, they're not people our age. Yeah. Like, they're older people, like that have a smartphone, that discover games, and they're like, oh, this looks kind of fun, and then they get into it and they're like, oh, this is fun, and that's like all they want.
But also with old people, they are something like, well, I don't want to stereotype all old people, but if I go into a casino, you have something called whales in there, and the majority of the whales aren't younger folks like ourselves. They're older people, unfortunately. Yeah. They kind of prey on them, and I feel like mobile games do the same thing, and I feel like what games are trying to do now is they're trying to put that culture in there. So that's why I just want to talk about mobile games, because I don't know if they're a leech on the system, on our system, or if it's an improvement. I mean, I know it's improvement revenue wise.
This is a really deep topic that has a lot of layers to it. So, continuing on with my history, the next thing that I really got attached to with mobile was gacha. So, Fire Emblem Heroes came out. Basically, it'll be 2 years in February since that game came out, and I was really hyped for that game when it was announced. I was really excited to try it out, to play something on mobile in a franchise that I really like, and I fell down that rabbit hole for a year. I played that game for a full year straight, every single day. Turned that thing on, logged in, played some battles, spent probably an hour every day, bare minimum, playing that game. And it is one of the more, looking back on it now, it's one of the most disgusting gaming experiences I've ever let myself get involved with, because again, like Clash of Clans, it's more insidious than Clash of Clans though, because Clash of Clans is obvious, it's overt that the whole game is designed to get money out of you. Fire Emblem's trying to pretend that it's not doing that.
We're your friends.
Yeah. This is Fire Emblem. You love Fire Emblem, right?
We're Nintendo. Remember Mario, guys?
Nino's so cute, right? It's like the whole game's designed to kind of tug at your heartstrings as a fan of Fire Emblem and give you these characters that you love and make you want these characters that you love. And it's something I fell prey to pretty badly. I spent probably about $900 in this game.
Wow.
Over the course of a year. Yeah. It's one of my more not proud moments with games. And the reason is the game is actually pretty fun. But you get into this situation where they release content that you need certain unit types for that you don't have. So then they release a banner alongside this content that has those unit types in it. And of course, it's a character that you fucking love. It's Ike, and Ike fulfills the need for you for those kind of battles. And he does something that your team doesn't have, right? And he gives you access to skills that you don't have, because you can sacrifice characters to inherit their skills onto a different unit.
Yeah.
So the skills are just as valuable as the unit sometimes.
Yeah.
So you'll try to pull for the unit, but the thing is there's 3 other units on the banner that you probably don't want. So you're getting, the chances of you getting Ike they're not low, but it's 2% per pull, maybe 1% per pull. So you have to pull 20, 30, 40 times on average to get Ike. But in game currency, that is $40 to $60 worth of currency.
Yikes!
And if you don't get them within those 20 to 40 pulls, because they give you free currency and like you can build up and save, which is what I would do. But if you don't get them within that allotment, well, guess what? The wallet's coming out, and you're buying more of that premium currency to get more. And I fell into this trap with this game, and you do it, and then you finally get the character. Because Fire Emblem Heroes is pretty forgiving within the gacha realm in terms of its rates.
Yeah.
Like you can get the characters pretty quickly, but the thing is the game. You need to have so many characters that you never feel like you have enough, you know?
Yeah.
And it never feels like there's an end point to it. And eventually I got sick of it and realized what I was doing and got myself out. However, I fell into another mobile game within the gacha realm called Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, which is basically like a Final Fantasy game with tons of like Square Enix characters in it. Final Fantasy characters, but there's other characters from Square Enix games like Deus Ex or Kingdom Hearts is getting a collaboration this month as well, things like that. So I fell into the rabbit hole with this game. I was a lot healthier with this game because the way that game works, you can save up a lot more currency more feasibly than you could in Fire Emblem. Their banners are not as attractive generally in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius as they are in Fire Emblem. The units aren't as good generally. Like the good units only come every few weeks usually. Okay. So you have time to save up. So you're not as desperate generally, not as constantly desperate. But
the simple fact that you use desperate.
You
see, like
no, and this is my viewpoint on this now is so eventually I burned out on that game too. I stopped playing this game in September, and I have not touched the gacha since. I haven't really played anything mobile. Like Monument Valley was the first mobile game that I played since then.
Yeah.
And I beat that already. It took like 2 hours, you know, and I got it for free. So it's like that's pretty much where I'm going to be with mobile from now on. It's like those are the games I want to play.
And I don't mind like the paid mobile games. Like I think those are cool.
Yeah.
It's like the free to play ones that are
no,
like,
they're really insidious, and they are designed to get as infinite amounts of money out of you because it never ever ends. They're designed in a way like, oh my god, like Final Fantasy Brave Exvius as an example. So there's ranks of units, right? Like 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star.
Yeah.
And there's 6-star, and then they released 7-star in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius in the summer, like in August, I think. And the way it works is 5-star are the premium units, the ones that like are hard to get. And you have to upgrade a unit to 6-star, you just need some materials to do that. But the 7-star they introduced is it requires 2 copies of the same unit in order to upgrade it. And those 5-star units can only be gotten off banners, generally. So, obviously, that's really insidious, right? If you only have 1 copy, when that banner comes back, like, well, fuck, this is one of my favorite units. I want to use them. I want to get them to 7-star. So you spend your lapis to get that copy of the unit. What's even more insidious, though, is that there's this thing called a Trustmaster reward that every unit has. So it's a special item, materia, ability, or something like that that's tied to this unit that you can get if you have the unit, if you put some Moogles into it. But they introduced this thing called a Super Trust Master.
A Super Trust Master.
Yeah, I know. It's shit's so stupid. But, like, what this is, it's like a more powerful version of their Trust Master. It's not the same item. It's a completely different item, generally.
It sounds so evil.
But you need, guess what? You need 4 copies of the same unit to get that.
Oh my god, the names just sound evil. Trust Master.
But
you thought that was it? I'm the Super Trust Master.
But you need 4 copies of the same unit to get that. And generally speaking, that's just an item. Like, it's a piece of equipment, like it's a sword or a fucking shield or a helmet. Like, it's one thing where you have a party of 6 characters, and they all have 2 hand slots, a piece of armor, a helmet piece, and 2 accessory slots, and then they have 4 materia slots. All of those need to be filled out for the characters to be effective, and a Trustmaster is generally just one piece of that for one character. So it's like obviously you can get equipment in different ways, like through events and stuff. But point is, the best shit is on those characters, and it's the Trust Masters and the Super Trust Masters. And you need 4 copies of the same character in order to unlock those. And obviously, like, you're not necessarily as an average player expecting to ever get those. Like, you're just kind of hoping you luck into getting them in rolls. But there are people who will, like the whales you're talking about, like they will spend money until they get 4 copies of a unit, and till they can get that trust measure for every single unit that's released. And I was ingrained in this community, so I know these people are real. Like, I talked to them, like I interacted with them. These people are very real, and it's scary how much they buoy these games because they're preyed upon. Like they buy everything. Like they'll buy every single bundle they put in the shop for the premium currency. They'll buy premium currency when it goes on sale just to have it. Like, just to be like, oh, that's a good deal. Like, I'm just going to buy it, you know? It's like, I know I'm going to use it anyways. It's like they just rationalize this train of thought that forces them to spend more, you know?
And it's not gambling. Like, legally, it's not gambling. But how do you stop? How can you stop that? Like, I understand.
It's gambling.
For it. Yeah,
it's gambling. There's no other.
And
there's
to
no
me,
two ways
needs
about
to be
it.
some kind of regulation because it's spilling over into my games, first of all, and then second of all, like, it's really super predatory. Like, what if my kid picks this up and is like, yo, and he gets addicted to it? What if, and then not even the kid, like my friend, get addicted to it? Like,
dude, it happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like you play it and you're like, it's a cute little game, and then all of a sudden it's like there's tens of hours of content in these games. Like Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, as an example, the storyline in that game, like if you were going to sit down and play it straight through, you're looking at 75 hours to get through it. Like, it's a lot of shit. There's a lot of content in that game. Like, at the time when I was playing it, I was really impressed with it as a gacha game because it has a lot of content. There's a lot of things to do. They have these like boss battles that you can do that are like challenge mode battles that are like really fucking hard. Like, you need a really good party to do it, and you need to be really good at the game in order to beat them. And it's fulfilling to beat them, but they're there to force you to like push yourself to get those super trust masters, to push yourself to get those trust master items, like to push yourself to get that new sexy unit that's way more powerful than anything you have. Like
that's why I can't take mobile games seriously. Like, if they start releasing games, which they all do have games on mobile where you can pay for them, like $5, $20, $10, and those are fully fledged games. Like, that's where I thought we were headed with it. I'm like, oh man, you know, this would be really cool if I can play fucking Final Fantasy VII on my phone, which I really can now. But like, the industry has moved so far away from that. Like, I remember when Mass Effect 3 was released on, or as a Mass Effect game released on mobile. It was a fully fledged Mass Effect game. You know, you can dodge your Shepard and everything like that. It was like $5 or $6. And I thought, like, man, games are coming a long way on mobile. And I was really looking forward to it. But now it turned into this, you know, this casino. And I just don't think it's healthy.
It is a casino. And the thing is, like, you think of it as like Monument Valley's funny because it's like a $2 game that takes like 2 hours to beat, right? And that company's done pretty well from what I understand, but they're probably not making anything compared to like these gacha games because, dude, to get premium currency, to get anything. So Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, they have this thing called a 10+1. Like, you pull on a banner and it has like featured units that you can get, and then it has all the other units within there that you'll get if you don't get the banner units. And a 10+1 is 10 pulls, and you get an extra one, like bonus pull. And each pull is 500 lapis. Lapis is the premium currency. So it's 5,000 lapis for a 10+1 pull. So that's 11 pulls. And
you sound like you're gambling right now. You sound like you're describing like a gambling game. It's kind of
it's awful, dude. Yeah. It's awful. Like, it's horrible to think about. So so you do 10+1, and your chances of getting a rainbow, quote unquote, because the rainbow rate is 3%, and a rainbow is a 5-star. Those are the best units in the game. They're the ones that are basically the only ones that are viable to use. That's what you want, is a 5-star. Your chances of getting one on a 10+1 is 30%. So you might not even get one. And that's 5,000 currency. So the best value you can get in their shop for lapis, just buying straight lapis out of their shop, is 18,000 lapis. So 3 10+1s, and then 3,000 left over for $99. Yeah,
what the
$99 for 3 chances at a 30% chance to get one 5-star unit. A single one. as I said earlier, a single one where you need 2 of them to get to the highest level in the game, which is 7-star. So if you get 1, you're lucky, but you need 2 to actually do anything with the unit. So
you're looking at least $200 to $300.
Yeah, if you actually want to get multiple copies, like if you're lucky, you might get it with 18,000 lapis. Like you might get 2 copies of the unit.
That's insane.
But
like,
if you're unlucky, you might not get 1 copy of the unit with 18,000.
The way you sound like a dealer, like, yeah, okay, I got this one, I got this lapis, I got this lapis there, I got 2 lapis, okay, go.
Well,
like,
so you want to know the worst example of this? I watched a streamer named Clake Uzult. He's a Final Fantasy Brave Exvius streamer and YouTuber. And I watched this guy do polls for a limited time banner for Star Ocean, and he loves Star Ocean. Or I don't know. I don't even know if he loves Star Ocean. Actually, this is kind of an interesting point of this whole thing. He just wants copies of units. Like he likes having a certain number of copies. Like he likes having a copy of every unit.
Yeah.
And I watched this dude spend $2,000 to $3,000 in a multi-hour stream, and he didn't get a single fucking copy of one of the banner units.
Are you serious?
There were 2 rainbows on the banner, and you have a split chance of getting either one. So, say you get the banner units 50-50 which one you get. And he got 11 copies of the one he didn't want, and he got zero of the one he wanted. And he spent $2,000 to $3,000 on stream. Like it was mostly
that's just one person. And they made
it was
2,000 to 3,000.
mostly donations, but that's the thing. People were feeding this habit with him, like, and the guy's a really nice guy. I like the guy, but thinking about this now, being removed from this, it's horrifying to think about that he spent a down payment on a car to get a fucking digital unit in a game, and he didn't even get it. Like, you're not even guaranteed to get it. That's insane. That's my, like that amount of money is probably not even as much as I've spent on the PS4, all the PS4 games I bought in 5 years. Like, and he didn't even get it. This is what these games are. This is what gacha games are. And this is the mobile market, dude. This is where they're at. Like, this is what companies are going for, dude. Like, they're all going for it. Nintendo's all in on this shit. Like, Fire Emblem Heroes is one of their most successful games fucking ever. Like, it generates an insane amount of revenue daily and yearly for them. And they've just released a new one in September called Dragalia Lost. This game's fucking killing it right now. It's bigger than Fire Emblem Heroes from what I understand. Like, and it's another gacha game. They're everywhere, like, and they're successful. People are playing them and buying shit in them, and it's disturbing to watch because,
I mean, like, where do you think it's going to be within the next 10 years?
I'm concerned that this is going to seep into consoles because it already has from the mobile market in the past. Loot boxes and microtransactions, that all came from mobile. Like, it all in the free to play stuff, that all came from mobile, all of it. And funny enough, weird game to bring this up with, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had a gacha system in it. It's not paid in any way.
Yeah.
You know, with the spirits that you get or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the blades that you get in that game. But
oh my god, just imagine a Pokemon gacha game.
That's going to happen. That will happen at some point. Pokemon is perfect for the model because what you want with a gacha game to make a good gacha game is you want a series that has hundreds of characters that you can mine. Like, you'll start out with 100 of them, and then you'll add 4 a week or 4 every couple weeks, you know? And you just want it to be endless, like it never ends. And Pokemon's perfect for that.
That's scary. Let's move on from this topic. But whoa,
I don't know. What do you think, man? I feel like I've like killed you. You're like flabbergasted. You're speechless right now.
You blew my mind because like I was
like, did you know about any of this shit?
No, I didn't. I knew it was bad. I knew it was bad. But to hear it from, like, you read articles and you watch videos, but to hear it from, like, someone who's actually in the shit, like, it's like a war story, right?
Yeah, but I'm a like a quote unquote hardcore gamer though, and I was in it.
And that's what's so scary about it,
right? I know, right? That's why it terrifies me because I could see this in consoles. I don't think it's hard to say it will be there because it is so disgustingly obvious to people who who don't succumb to it. It's so obvious from the outside how disgusting these models are, but there are plenty of people who succumb to them, myself included. It happened to.
And just for record, he's not dumb, people. Like, this dude's really smart. So,
yeah, and you, they got me with series that I like. I didn't just fall into random ones. But that's all it takes. That's really all it takes. Like, if they make a Kingdom Hearts one, which there is a Kingdom Hearts one actually on mobile, but if they make it with series that people like, people will do it. Like, I'm telling you, people will fall into this stuff, and I don't want to see it in consoles. I really hope it doesn't happen. I think with all the loot box controversies that happen, EA may have done everybody a favor. I think that may make sure that this stuff never happens in consoles, because it's worse than loot boxes. This is way worse than loot boxes. What I'm describing is way worse than loot boxes. Like, it's 1,000 times worse than loot boxes.
It's and pretty much where Battlefield 2 was. I mean, not Battlefield, but Battlefront 2 was heading.
There is an entire section of the mobile market that is this. This is an industry. These games are an industry. There are hundreds of them.
Yeah, and
it's insane.
I don't know if I was talking to you or someone else who was talking about Final Fantasy 15 Empire and how, like, to stay on top tier and not get your city invaded.
Top tier, yeah. Oh, you totally, dude.
Yeah, they had to spend
there's
$75,000 or something like that.
Yeah, there's a fucking meta with these games. There's tier lists. These people take this shit so seriously. Like, dude, I tell you, go to the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius Reddit and go read through, like, their tier list threads or their, like, unit review threads. These people are in, like, this shit is insane. I'm not disparaging these folks. Like, they're really nice people. They're just people. They're just people that have disposable income, so they feel comfortable spending it. But, like, and I had disposable income. This didn't bankrupt me or hurt me in any way financially. It was stuff I was willing to spend, and I had the money to spend.
The thing I'm scared about is for people who it becomes an addiction, and even if
it is 100% an addiction, 100%, and that's what happened to me. It turns into a habit. It's so comforting. You wake up in the morning and you log in and you get your stupid little daily login reward. Like, you get your 50 lapis or fucking 100 lapis, and then they have this event going on where you get your bonus fucking login rewards. You get like a summon ticket or something. Like it lets you do one summon for free, you know. And you'll get that. And you, for me with Final Fantasy, it was a kind of a thing where I was a hoarder in that game. I didn't spend very much money in that game. I probably spent maybe $300 total over the course of a year, probably. Okay. So nothing really compared to Fire Emblem Heroes, but $300 still. That's a console. Yeah. Like, it's crazy still to think about that. But so I was hoarding in that game. So I got to a point where I told you 18,000 lapis is like $100. I had 165,000 lapis at my highest point. 165,000 lapis.
So how much is 100?
So $18, 18,000 lapis is 100. I had about 1,000 or $900 worth of lapis in my account. That does not include as well all the summon tickets I had as well. I probably had about
and there's no way to turn that lapis into like real money to get it back.
No way.
Like, you can't sell it.
I mean, I could sell the account with the lapis, maybe. Like, you can do that. People will, but the thing is, it's tied to my Facebook, so
Got you.
I would have never sold it because of that. So, like I had like $900 worth of lapis because they give away a lot. They give away quite a bit. They give you away on average 15,000 to 20,000 a month. So they're giving away about $100 worth a month to their players. That's how these games get you. It's like they give away a lot of free shit to make it look like they're really generous, but it's not enough to keep you afloat in terms of being up to date, being up with the meta, and having the best units and shit like that. So they give you just enough to make it feel like they're generous. And
that's insane. Justin.
And Fire Emblem Heroes is the same way, same exact way. And that game was a lot worse for me because I like Fire Emblem more than Final Fantasy. Yeah. So it turned into a thing where it'd be like, God, I really want this character, and then you just like you keep going down the well, and you're like, man, I can do another $50. I can do another $50, and then you still don't get it, and then you're like,
see, like that's why I'm scared. Like the franchise, I'll probably be like that for. They made like a some kind of Monster Hunter gotcha game.
Yeah,
And,
it's another series that's perfect for this. Ripe for it.
Yeah,
Ripe for it. Absolutely ripe for it.
and that's what I'm saying. It's scary because like. It's just really scary. I mean, we have to move on. Cause
I'm scared to put this shit out there because I don't know if they've thought about a Monster Hunter gotcha, but
bro, we were joking when we said Diablo Immortal, and they made that shit.
Yeah, they did. No, and I mean you're right. We do need to move on, but I have a lot of personal demons with mobile games, and I just wanted to like put it out there, and I don't think you like clearly you didn't like I'd never talked to you about this, so like I haven't really talked to anybody
exclusive.
Well, I haven't really talked to anybody about it because it's kind of like it. I don't feel good about it when I think about it.
Well, it's not that like you need to be demonized for it. It's just that it fucking sucks. Like it fucking sucks that you had to go through that with your favorite.
Well, it's an addiction
franchises.
thing. Like
Yeah,
I definitely have an addictive personality with certain things. And this was one of them for a while, nearly 2 years. And, like, I was playing these games so much, I was not playing console games. Like, I would go home and I would spend 3 hours in these games.
wow.
And then I wouldn't play anything because I'd have, like, 2 hours left before I had to go to sleep. So I wouldn't play any console games. So that's why I have a backlog that's obnoxious, is because of these games.
I mean, that was kind of like my addiction with League of Legends, but like that's like a different.
But that's an actual game that you're
yeah.
getting joy out of playing. Like I don't think about these games and think about me having fun. Like it was just a thing. Like I felt obligated to play because I was so invested in them. You know,
I mean, you put the money into it, you kind of feel like you have to play.
But that's a terrible mentality to be in.
Yeah,
like you feel like you don't want to let go because you've put so much into it. But that's what you have to break yourself of, because that if you think that way, you're going to keep playing and then you're going to spend more money. And then your investment gets deeper
that's
and
what's
deeper
so scary
and deeper.
Because some people can't break it without some kind of intervention. Like they have to have some.
I managed to break it on my own.
Yeah, but there are other people out there who can't do that.
It was hard though. It took me. I had to wean myself off of it, almost like you would like a drug addict. Like I would like what I did with Brave Exvius is fresher in my mind. So this is the last one that I did this with. But I started not playing a day here, a day there. And then I started going a couple days without playing. And then eventually I went like 4 days without playing. And then I just never played again. Like, it's just one of those things. So, yeah, it's gross. It's ugly. I don't love the mobile market. God, man, it's such a sad place because games like Monument Valley, like that game is a bad example because it's pretty successful, but there's probably a ton of games like that are like $2 that are fun little games that like are a couple hours and they're worth the $2, and they probably get shoved underneath all these gacha games, all of them, because they're free.
It was one game that I used to play a lot. I think it was like Lords of War or something like that. I don't know what the fuck it was called, but it's like a little 3D game. You have your heroes and you go on like this like RPG and they have their own skills. It was like playing a Final Fantasy game, but the thing was like I got kind of addicted to it because the gameplay was fun as fuck, and I'm like, yo, this game is really fun.
They can be fun. They can be fun.
And I got into a thing where, you know, I was paying for like maybe I pay like $10 here or $5 there. Then I just stopped because I realized how far I was going to go. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I'm going to continue up this little path that they, you know, set for you and stuff. You had to do that, and I was like, yeah, there's just no way I can win this game without paying, or I had to wait.
Yeah, that's how they're all designed.
Yeah,
they're
I
all
had to wait
designed
like 20 hours just to actually play the game again at some point.
Well, those Clash of Clans ones are all like that, and they're just a ripoff. Like, there's nothing redeeming about them, in my opinion. They suck.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I don't know. Do you have any more thoughts on mobile?
I just hope we realize how bad it is, and we get to a space where they are talked about, and there's maybe addiction groups for them and stuff like that, because it is a serious issue that needs.
It's a really serious issue. There are people that have ruined their lives for these games. Like, they've spent money they cannot afford to spend. Yeah. Like, I'm fortunate I was in control enough that I didn't really hurt myself. But there are others who aren't that fortunate. Like,
and that's what's so scary. I do believe there needs to be some type of regulation, but, you know, when you say regulation, people get fucking scared. But, yeah, just hearing that story.
Regulation is in place for industries where they're taking advantage of people, and people cannot... I don't want to say control themselves, but that's kind of what it is. Like casinos have regulation so that people don't fucking bankrupt themselves at a casino, you know, or so the casino can't easily make you give all your money away to them, you know, like it has to be like I think that's where the regulation needs to come in, not necessarily to ban these things, but to put them in a way that more like casinos, where they have to be fair to people who participate.
Or like,
you know?
Because I remember at one point, well, I mean, this is probably my last point, but I remember at one point where people were like, and this, it wasn't like monetization or anything, but people were dying playing StarCraft, dying playing World of Warcraft and everything like that and dying playing Monster Hunter because people would just play it for hours and hours. Where they had to start putting in, hey, take a break.
Yeah.
Hey, don't exhaust yourself, because people were doing it. It kind of self-regulated itself this industry self-regulated itself, and gamers were more aware now. Like, okay, yeah, I do have to drink water. I do
go to the bathroom.
I had to go to the bathroom, or I would die. Like,
man, that's crazy.
Now we don't hear stories like that about that too much.
Yeah, we haven't heard that in a long. I haven't heard anything like that.
I haven't heard anything major. But I remember in the early 2000s, and
EverQuest and all these MMOs were super addicting like that because they required so much time to play.
Yeah,
like you needed to play for hundreds of hours to get the top gear and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
and I mean,
I get it. I as much as I feel crappy about it in retrospect, at the same time, I'm kind of happy I experienced it because I'm informed now. Like, I understand the depths of the scum of that market. Like, I know it. Like, I know a lot of what these games are. Like, I know the names of them.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one I played for a little while called Fate Grand Order, which is fucking insanely awful. Like, have you ever watched Fate? It's a super popular anime franchise.
I watched Fate before. Yeah,
it's a gacha for Fate, like that franchise, and it's one of the most successful ones in the entire planet. Like, it generates insane amounts of revenue, like just absurd. Like, it's I think the third most grossing gacha on the planet, I think.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of them, and they exist for franchises, big franchises, man. Fate, Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy has like 10 of them too. It's fucking obnoxious.
Yeah, the one I was
Mobius.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
There's into. Mobius. There's Brave Exvius. I don't remember the other ones, but there's a lot. There's more.
Yeah.
Too. So, but anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
To a more upbeat note. So, our other topic this week we wanted to talk about is games that we're looking forward to in 2019. So, I am. So, I don't know if we're gonna kind of go back and forth, I guess.
Yeah.
And start. Do you want to get started?
One of the games I'm really looking forward to was actually Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah. I know people are excited about this.
Because Resident Evil 2 is one of my favorite games. Like, and it looks like from the gameplay trailers they show, like the scare factor is just there, and it really brought back Resident Evil. It really brought Resident Evil back to its roots, not that whole action shit that it was doing in Resident Evil 5 and 6.
Yeah.
I know 7. A lot of people love 7. I didn't really enjoy it because of the first person aspect of it, which is very scary. But a lot of the stuff is. It just seems kind of scripted, so there's not really a second playthrough type deal. But what about you?
So, we kind of want to get through these semi-quickly. So, one for me, I'm not going to say too much about it because we already talked about it last week. Division 2, I'm looking forward to that game. I don't have Anthem on my list. I'm really not looking forward to that game.
Unfortunately.
Really at all.
Yeah.
Division 2 is the shared world shooter for me that I'm really, excited about. I was playing Spider-Man yesterday, and you kind of, there are moments in the game where you're just kind of walking through like a school or something.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of The Division because that's the setting of The Division is just like you're walking through like the real regular world, you know?
Yeah.
And it kind of got me excited about it though. I'm like, I don't know why. There's something about that setting that I just like, you know? It's like,
I think it's just because how it looks, they almost have the city scaled down to real, like the real city blocks, especially like running through
Manhattan in The Division, the original Division, it's insane how awesome it looks.
Yeah.
Like it looks awesome. Like it, and from what I understand, they almost got it like to scale, like perfectly, like street by street.
that was kind of how I wanted Fallout 4 to be with Boston, but that's another conversation. Another game I'm really looking forward to is Sekiro, which is made by FromSoft.
I have that on mine with a question mark. I don't know if I'm in on this game.
I'm looking forward to that game. Really good. Only thing I'm not really interested in, it looks like it's going to be another Soulsborne combat deal. I wish they kind of switched the combat up. Hopefully, it's a lot more fast paced.
It is. It looks like it's much more arcadey, but
I was looking at the gameplay and I didn't see like a stamina bar, which a lot of those games have stamina bars to prevent that. But hopefully, it's more arcadey and everything like that. So, what about you?
Well, in that same vein, I don't know if this game is coming out next year, but Neo 2. I'm a huge fan of the first Neo. That game, oh my god, that game came out in 2017. That game is fucking phenomenal. It is like I've played Dark Souls 3, I played Bloodborne a little bit, but Neo was the one that got me, that really hooked me because there's so many different weapon types and you can swap between them all really early in the game. Like you can kind of pick and choose what you want to go down, like dual swords, or you want to go down like a single sword, like a single katana, or hammers or whatever. Like you can do that from the get-go. So nothing's like locked off, and the game's really fast-paced, and but it's still skill-based, like a Bloodborne or Dark Souls would be.
Game,
so I don't know if this game's coming out next year. We haven't seen any like actual footage of it, but if it is coming out next year, this will be a day one purchase for me. So
cool. I don't know if it's coming out next year or whatever, but from that company that made Sekiro and Dark Souls is From Software. They announced 2 unannounced games that should be coming next year, and I'm hoping to God that one of them are Armored Core. It's a mecha game.
I mean, one's probably Bloodborne 2.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
That's cool, but I'm looking for Armored Core, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'll skip past that, though, because I don't know if that's coming next year. Another game I'm really looking forward to is, I guess we're both looking forward to this game, is Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, I don't really want to get too deep into this because we're going to talk about this game, I think, coming up in the next few weeks since it's coming out soon. But this is a game, there hasn't been a Kingdom Hearts release, like a new one, like an actual game, like a full game since Dream Drop Distance in 2012.
Yeah.
So that's 6 or 7 years now at this point. And I am highly anticipating this game. This is probably the game on my list that I'm most anticipated about. Like, if I were ranking these, this would probably be my number one. But I am trepidatious to be, like, hyped about it. Yeah. They have a lot of narrative ground to cover, and I don't know if they can cover it. And
you think there's going to be a Kingdom Hearts 4?
No, I don't. I think that this game may end up feeling incomplete, or the characters may not get there, because there's a lot of characters that are going to be in this game, from like almost every character that's ever been in the series is going to be in this game, and I just think a lot of them are not going to get the screen time they deserve. And that, because there's just not going to be enough time for them.
Gotcha.
And that's going to be disappointing. I'd rather they not be in the game if they're not going to get shown very much, But what about you? How do you feel about Kingdom Hearts?
Like you said, I'm trying not to be hyped about it because I want to be really surprised. I haven't watched a trailer since fucking E3.
Yeah, I've been on blackout since E3. I really am trying to avoid learning anything else about this game. I know too much already. I'm kind of annoyed that I know most of the worlds.
Most of the worlds and stuff. And that's probably my fault for going to look, but yeah, I'm trying to keep it because I want to be as surprised as possible. Yeah, I'm hoping it's at least 90 hours. I'm hoping at least 90 hours.
Well, you mean like main story or just like everything, like side quests and all? Main story. Yeah. I mean, as I said, there's a lot of narrative ground to cover. I feel like the game will need to be that long to cover everything.
That's why I said that number, because if it's anything lower than that, this is going to be a Final Fantasy 15.
It's gonna be rushed. Yeah,
and I don't want that. One other game I'm looking forward to is Devil May Cry 5. Been waiting for Devil May Cry 5 forever, ever since the DMC controversy that they launched a little bit while back in 2012, 2013. I did buy that game, but I wasn't really too impressed with it until like they came out with a definitive edition of it, and they fixed a lot of things that was actually in the PC version. A lot of people modded into the game,
Yeah.
and they put that into definitive and made it polished and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I am looking forward. I'm a huge Devil May Cry fan, and another game I'm looking forward to is Onimusha, the Onimusha HD collection is coming out.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to that.
You think we might get another game out of that? If this
HD collection does really well, then
that series has been in the closet for a while, right?
Bro, it's been in the closet since
like 10 plus years.
Yeah, I think almost the same as like when Kingdom Hearts 2 was released.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
damn. Jeez, that's like 12 years. Yeah.
They didn't have anyone on the third. They didn't have any of them on the third or the last console generation. So yeah, it's been in the vault for a while.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So next one for me is also a remake. Catherine Full Body. So did you ever play Catherine on the PS3?
I did play it. I didn't beat it, but I did play it.
Okay.
I played about 10.
I never beat it. I never beat it either. I played probably 30 hours of it.
Okay. So
I got pretty deep in it, but I never got around to finishing it. But I really want to play this game again because this game enraptured me the first time, and it's just such a fucking unique game. Like, it's made by the Persona team, and it's the game they made between Persona 4 and Persona 5.
Yeah.
And this game was just like, it's a puzzle game that is like what's the game that this? Do you remember what the? Because you mentioned it, I think. I can't remember what it was. There's a game that like this the puzzles in this game are kind of modeled after, but it's just like a tower kind of moving game.
Yeah.
Where you're trying to climb a tower, but you need to move blocks in order to advance and stuff. But the really interesting part about this game to me always though was the story was really cool because it's about a guy named Vincent who's kind of he's kind of stagnant in life. He's just working a dead-end job, but he has this really successful, like, beautiful fiancée named Catherine with a K. And, but he's kind of, I don't want to say bored, but, like, not fulfilled, I suppose. And he meets this woman named Catherine with a C. And you can, I think he has an affair, or I think he sleeps with her early in the game. And then the rest of the game kind of plays out based on that.
Yeah.
But you get to make choices in the game and stuff like that. And it's just such an interesting game. And I really want to play it and like give it full attention when it does come out. So I'm really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, the Persona team really does a good job at storytelling.
They do. They really do.
With the unique twists and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they always have excellent gameplay with their games. So, it's very interesting when that came out. I'm not really into the puzzle games, but I do respect it.
Yeah.
I played it and I was like, hey, I can see why people are really into this game.
Yeah, man.
Another game we both are pretty looking forward to is Fire Emblem Three Houses. So unfortunately, I didn't play Fire Emblem Fates in it was called Fates and
Awaken. Fates. Fates was Conquest and Birthright, and then Revelations was the third path.
Okay. And unfortunately, I didn't play those. I did play Awaken, and I was terribly disappointed. So I'm hoping that Three Houses goes back to the kind of the roots of Fire Emblem.
Well, so I think we're in agreement on this, is that I've played Fates. I played all three versions of Fates. I played Awakening. I played Radiant Dawn, Path of Radiance, and all the two GBA ones as well. So I've played every one that's been released in the United States. I'm a huge fan of this franchise, but Awakening was, like you, a huge disappointment for me, and Fates, as much as I played of it, I probably put 500 hours into that game, which is insane, I know. But I love Fire Emblem, what can I say?
Yeah.
But I actually came away from that game not liking it, despite how much time I invested in it, probably because of how much time I invested in it. I know that game backwards, forwards, like I know everything about it. So I ended up not liking the game. I just think the design is not the direction I want Fire Emblem to go. They made the weapon triangle way too important, I feel like, in these last two. And I want them to go back to more of the Radiant Dawn, Path of Radiance variation of the game, where the weapon triangle obviously gives you an advantage, but it's not like a 33% swing in either direction like it is in Fates.
It was more so about the character stats as well.
Yes, the individual characters were more important than that kind of stuff. I will say, like, Fates was fun because it was challenging. Like, it really, you had to really be thoughtful in your positioning and stuff like that, because you could lose characters so easily.
Yeah.
Like, they'd die in 2 hits, and dodging just, you couldn't dodge nearly as well in these games because of the weapon triangle disparity. But this game has a lot to prove for me, because Intelligent Systems I mean, given our issues with these last two games and then Fire Emblem Heroes, which we've already discussed, I'm not in a happy place with this company because they've become kind of money hungry. And because, think about it, Awakening had DLC that didn't enhance the game.
At all.
Fates had DLC, completely broke the game balance, didn't enhance the game in any way, cost way too much money for what it was. Echoes, which was the last one that came out last year, which was a remake of the second Fire Emblem game, that also had DLC, completely broke the game balance, and cost way too much money for what it was.
How do you remake a game and then put DLC in the game?
That is like an Activision thing. Activision's the only other company that's ever done that shit, right?
Wow.
Right? Like they did that with what was it, Call of Duty 4 remastered
Call
or
of Duty
whatever?
4 remastered.
They put DLC in it.
So actually, they sold it. We had to buy the base game.
Yes. No, the game that was coming out that year.
Infinite War. Yeah. So I don't know. I just didn't like. I mean, not, and I didn't get too deep into it with the DLC and things of that nature because I didn't really care about it. But maybe that's why I couldn't beat the game because probably I had to get the DLC stuff for Awakening. But I didn't like it because the pandering, the sexual pandering they're doing.
Well, that's dude. Fire Emblem Heroes has taken that to an extreme that is
it's
uncomfortable.
And that's
it's
especially in like
you should see some of the shit. I showed you some of these things.
Yeah, you showed me some of the shit, and
dude.
Like we're talking like almost full blown hentai type shit. Like if you don't know what hentai is, like Japanese porn. Cartoon porn or whatever, but it's almost there. And in Fire Emblem Awakening,
they have preteen girls in see-through bikinis and shit.
It's fucking ridiculous.
It's pretty not nasty stuff. Like
in Fire Emblem Awakening, you have to, unfortunately, to get better units, marry some have them mate with each other.
I completely forgot about this.
Yeah, and I just didn't like that. I'm like, I don't like this system.
Well, that was in Fates as well, and it completely derailed the game's story just to justify the feature's existence.
Yeah.
Like, they created this whole time travel nonsense, alternate dimension loophole that allowed these kids to grow up.
And just to let you know, this isn't like an action game, or I mean, it's not action. It's a strategy game.
It's a turn-based strategy game.
Turn-based strategy game, and your tactics matter. So it's like in the medieval times. So, your tactics matter and your positioning matters. It's just, there's no place for this in this world. Like, it's almost like they're trying to make the game like a Game of Thrones-esque type deal, but...
God, they couldn't be further from that, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like...
like with all the sleeping and with other characters and stuff like that. And I feel like they're pandering to, like, this... I don't want to call this audience disgusting, but that's your thing. But they're pandering to this audience that...
They like that questionable sexualization stuff.
They like that unfortunately
in anime as well, because Fire Emblem's as anime as you can get.
It's really fucking anime.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sex sells, but I mean, what can we do about that?
Well, so to get back to this game, though, this game, as I said, has to prove a lot to me because this might be the last Fire Emblem game I actually give serious consideration to. Like, if this game is as bad as Fates or worse than what Fates was and continues down this path of the pandering and the DLC model and everything like that, I might be done with this franchise. As much as I love it, like I don't want to see it continue to go down this path. And I feel like Fire Emblem fans I am gonna call you out because I think we all put up with more than we should with this series. Like, because we love it and
because it's Nintendo.
Because it's Nintendo and
Nintendo gets away with a lot of fucking
it's a
shit.
great franchise, it is, but there's just so much I can take. And I have to stand up at a certain point and say no. And this game is going to prove whether I say no going forward or I'm still on board.
Well, unfortunately, like you said, this game's designed for gacha. I mean, all the fucking heroes from each franchise.
I mean, there's over 1,000 characters between all the games.
And unfortunately, it is designed like that. I mean, it's not designed like that, but I'm sure when they made the game intentionally, they didn't intentionally design, hey, in the future it's going to be a gacha game. But it is sad to see where the game went. I was really disappointed in Fire Emblem Awakening, And I haven't touched another Fire Emblem game since, unfortunately, because that game disgusted me so bad. As far as like the combat, like the weapon triangle and the mating or the getting characters together, the romance
the
options,
marriage mechanics.
And it was just so weird to me. And
I mean, it's
like,
just shoehorned into the game.
Yeah,
the game. As I said, Fates is worse than Awakening about this, but they have to make all these story. They have to like jump through all these hoops in the story to justify these characters being here. Like there's this time travel nonsense in Awakening to justify all the kids being grown-ups, like in the game, so that you can use them. You know, after marrying all the adults that you get early on, like it's just. I don't like it. It didn't work for me. But moving on, the next game I'm kind of really looking forward to is this is coming out in April. Is Days Gone. So this one's an interesting one because this game's had a lot of kind of tortured development. I feel like it's been delayed a few times, and it's never really looked that great to me. But for some reason, there's just I just feel like I'm giving Ben the benefit of the doubt.
Zombies on the screen.
Yeah, I'm giving Ben the benefit of the doubt though, because Sony has continued to back this game despite all of its issues and despite a lot of the criticism it has received. They never canceled it. They've given them time to make it, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt to see kind of what comes out of this. I mean, what do you think about this game?
I think the time has passed for the zombie apocalypse phase. I think they missed that.
Well, I mean, we got two of them coming out of Sony soon. This one, and then we're going to talk about Last of Us 2 later.
I just think that phase is faded, man. Like,
apparently Sony doesn't think so.
I don't know, man. I mean, Dying Light 2 is also coming out as well. But that game was very unique as far as the parkour thing. Days Gone, like, nothing really appeals to me besides all the hordes of zombies that's on the screen. But that's the main selling point of the game. Like, I haven't really researched anymore until I saw that E3 trailer.
Yeah.
But if that's the only thing that's going to sell the game, then I'm pretty sure they're going to have a story, and I'm pretty sure the game probably is going to look really good. But I'm not really too hyped for it. I thought it got canceled. To be honest with you, I did.
Well, they pushed it out of February, which is a smart move because that was a really crowded release window.
Yeah.
So it's in April now. I think it'll do fine, but I'm interested in it. I don't know if I'm going to play it at launch, but we'll see kind of where I'm at the time. But I want to give it a shot, though. I want to kind of give it its chance to impress me.
Do that, sir. I'll
sounds like you've already made your choice.
Yeah. I mean, that game and like Last of Us 2, I'm not just really looking forward to.
Well, yeah. So let's get into that because Last of Us 2 is on my list, and
that game is so...
I'm not sure this is coming out in 2019. Because there were some tweets recently from Naughty Dog showing some mocap pictures.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not coming out then.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's not shit you're doing when your game's coming out in like a year, like you know, or less than a year.
That's
you know,
definitely not.
So they may not be as far along as we think they are. Apparently, so that might be a 2020 game, which is good for Days Gone because the two of those games being close to each other was always weird to me because they're the same concept basically in theme. But so The Last of Us 1 was a game that I think a lot of people within the industry fucking love this game. I really enjoyed it. I do think it's Naughty Dog's best game since Uncharted 2.
Okay.
But I was not ever as hype on it as everybody else. I think Naughty Dog is a studio. They make really pretty games with generally interesting stories with very shallow gameplay. And I think The Last of Us was the first time they really forayed into gameplay that was a little bit more in depth. I think the crafting mechanics and the scarcity of equipment and stuff within the game was really fun. I like the fact that it was kind of hard to... You had to, like, really ration your bullets, and you couldn't go into everything guns blazing all the time. Like, you had to really approach combat a lot more methodically and think things through. I really enjoyed that with The Last of Us, so I liked the game a lot. I don't think it's the best game ever made. I think that's a little bit overblown. I want a whole package when I'm talking about something like that, and I just don't think the gameplay was all the way there for me.
Yeah, that's my issue with I don't think my issue is with the game, because the game was, like, really solid. It's the controversy or the praise surrounding it. You know how this may sound like a hater raid, thing here, but you know how when something gets too much praise, you're just like, nah, it's just
you don't
not.
want to like it. Yeah,
Yeah,
is that what this is for the?
Yeah,
for you?
like how you feel about Breath of the Wild? How
Yeah.
everyone's just like, oh my god,
Sucking that game's dick, man.
Yeah,
It's just not that good of a game.
and it's like the game's good, but it has its flaws.
Same with Mario.
Mario
Odyssey,
is
right?
another one, yeah. And I mean, this game's good. I'm not super hyped for it. I'm hyped for it, like the story wise, but like gameplay
I
wise,
agree. I think the story's gonna deliver. The rest of it, I jury's out on that for me.
It's one of those games where I wouldn't mind watching the streamer play it and like just watching.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I've watched the DLC for the first game because I just didn't feel like playing it. Like, you know.
So,
and it doesn't take away from the experience that much. It really doesn't.
And I know we got a little bit more time, or we have to get off here. I just want to talk about two things real quick. We should give our quick opinions on it real quick. That Pokemon Switch game, that Game Freak was like, it's going to be a big change to things. And the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Temple or Fallen Order.
Well, so Pokemon Switch, we have seen nothing of it. Based off Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I don't even know if we can base anything off of those games. Like, they don't have enough time to implement any features from those games if they're not doing it already. Yeah. So I just don't know what we're gonna get. I have a severe problem with the Pokemon franchise as it stands because it just has not innovated enough over the years. It's gotten stale and boring for me. They made a choice a long time ago to just keep adding and adding and adding and adding instead of working with what they had and trying to do interesting design within the existing framework of the number of Pokemon they had. They just decided to just keep adding more new fucking Pokemon over and over again. Yeah. And they just layered small things over the years, like new mechanics, but it's just not enough to grab me anymore. This game needs to be a lot more of a, like, honestly, I am expecting like an open world third person almost action, potentially action RPG. Like, that's what I want.
I think they need to go that
That's
route.
what I want. I love the turn-based combat, but if they're gonna stick with the turn-based combat, it needs to have a lot more.
But you know what's funny
to it than it has. In the past.
You know what's funny? Like, you can tell like they're tired of it too. Even in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, some of the animations. Some of the attacks don't even have animations. They just like the characters jumping like still, and they're jumping up and down. Like from Tail Whip, like Pikachu's character literally just turns around, like doesn't even move her legs. They just physically turn the character around, and she moves her legs for Tail Whip. And it's like, and they do that for a lot of the characters. So, I hope that this is like, just give me like 50 Pokemon and give them unique animations for all of them.
That would be cool.
If it is like an action, like kind of like how they did with Shadow of the Colosseum or Shadow
of the Colossus.
No. What's the game? The Pokemon game? Pokemon Colosseum Shadow.
Oh, you're talking about the GameCube one. Yeah. XD Shadow.
Yeah, where
something.
They made it was almost like a fully fledged Pokemon game, but obviously they only put like 30 Pokemon in there.
Gale of Darkness.
Gale of Darkness. There you go.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they should do something like that. Like it was like an experiment. Like, okay, this is probably where they want to go in the future, but we don't have technology right now, and now we do.
Well, that's what I've wanted. Is like, I wanted a Pokemon MMO for the longest time because I think it works. It just like makes sense, but I think we're past the point where that's a viable thing now. Yeah. But like a single player version though of that, with like you said, 50 Pokemon, or if they can manage it, 100 would be fucking awesome, dude. Like it just makes so much sense to me now. I'm just tired of the stupid like fucking grid that your character walks on, that like you walk in fucking straight lines, and like it's just like like I can see the grid that your character's walking on in my head, like when I'm playing those games, like because they're just built on the same engine all the time. Like even the newer like iterations of these games, you're still on a grid, like walking on a grid. Like it's like, I mean, that's probably true of any game you play, but it's just so obvious in Pokemon that it annoys me. Like it's always gotten under my skin, and the fact that the combat's not changed in 20 years is just, it's time for something new for me. Like if the game looks the same as the old, like the last ones, like Sun and Moon and X and Y, I probably won't play it. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest.
I didn't play Sun and Moon at all.
But yeah, so Star Wars. We know nothing about this game. I put this on this list like with a question mark because I don't even know if it's coming out this year. No, and also it's an EA game, so I don't know how excited about it I am. Anyways,
it's probably gonna get canceled.
But the idea of a story-driven action game set between episodes 3 and 4 about a Jedi who escaped, Order 66 and the execution of the Jedi Order by the Empire. That sounds pretty dope if it can be executed well.
If it can be executed.
That is the biggest question. Can it be executed well?
I hope they don't have any loot boxes for special lightsabers you can get.
you could get Mace Windu's lightsaber. you gotta get you have to get the super rare drop in the loot box though.
Oh my god! But yeah, I really don't have too much else to say about it.
I have two more
that
I want to bring up. One is it's Civ 6: The Gathering Storm. It's just an expansion of Civ 6. I didn't like Civ 6 very much when it first came out because the AI sucks, and as far as I know, the AI still sucks. However, I have a group of friends that I play with, and I haven't played with them in Civ 6 very much. I think that may change with The Gathering Storm once it's released, so I'm really looking forward to that. I will probably have some thoughts on that if that actually happens.
I'm interested to hear those thoughts.
So, yeah. So, I am looking forward to that. The last one is another game I'm not sure is coming out this year, but Ghost of Tsushima. This is looking like out of the Sony exclusives that are left for PS4, this is the one I'm most excited about, I think.
Oh, yeah. This game definitely looks phenomenal.
Yes.
I don't know if it's coming out this year, next year, or this. Well, technically, by the time you guys listen to this, it'll be this year. But I don't know if it's coming out in 2019 or 2012 or 2020.
2020.
Wow. But
it's late.
The gameplay I see for it. Who made this game, by the way?
So this is Sucker Punch. This is the guys who made Infamous.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So Infamous was a really good game. Infamous Second Son was in.
Yep.
But if this game lives up to its potential from the gameplay that we saw, or from the cinematics we saw, and some of the gameplay that we saw as well that they leaked leaked, but they showed furthermore. I'm really hyped for the game. Me
too.
It looks phenomenal.
I think it looks like a really interesting setting. They seem to not care about being historically accurate, which is actually fine with me. I'm tired of us having these discussions.
For Honor did that shit.
Yeah.
What land did you know where the Vikings fucking...
Who cares, though?
Exactly.
It's a fucking video game. Just let them make the game they want to make.
And I like that.
Whatever, dude. I don't care. If the game's fun and it looks cool,
One thing I was worried about was people with this game were people were like, oh, fucking stereotypes, is this what the Westerners think of that time plan? This isn't your history.
Oh, my God.
I don't know. That's good to me.
But that's my point about the historical accuracy is great. I don't care. Awesome, dude. We're whatever. It's fine. We have our perceptions of other countries, but they're making it for us, our audience, an American audience. This game is not obviously they're trying to sell it worldwide, but we're the primary audience they're trying to sell to. So.
And it doesn't look offensive at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look offensive at all. It's just they're mashing up time periods with it. That's the thing is his outfit does not match the time period that he's from. He's wearing a samurai outfit, I think, from way later on in actual history than the time period he's from, which is the 1200s. Mm-hmm. I think is when the game takes place. So, but those are it's just it's a little thing that I don't care about. If that it's not something that's going to be on my mind when I'm playing. It's if he looks cool and everything looks great and feels right, then that's all that matters at the end of the day for me.
Yeah.
So
because Kratos is not supposed to be in Norse mythology. He's basically a Greek god. But,
and that ended up being a cool thing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's just let it happen, guys. Maybe it'll work for you. Just be patient and let the game come out.
Yeah.
But so I think that's it. That's all we had to talk about. In terms of games we're looking forward to. So that's going to be it for this week. If you want to reach out to us on Twitter, I actually made my Twitter a couple days ago. Oh. I am at ThunderNut01. Montrell, if you want to say yours.
I trap for the Hokage with the number, 4 being the number 4. And it's all one word, I, and then trap, and then the number 4, the Hokage.
And then our combined Twitter is at The Player's Take for the podcast. And then if you want to send in questions, if you happen to listen to this, again, thank you very much. We very much appreciate you if you exist. It is you can send them to, for now, theplayerstake01@gmail.com.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be it for us this week. Have a happy New Year. If you are listening to this prior to the New Year, if you're listening to it after, well, I'm sorry that 2019 was so shitty. Whatever happened.
Wait, 2019 or 2018?
2019. Yeah, no, everybody seems to think the next year is going to be worse than the last. So
I think it's going to be an excellent year for gaming.
okay.
And I hope you
well,
guys,
for gaming, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I hope you guys had a great New Year's, because by the time you listen to this, probably be on past that year. So
that's right. Yeah, we're coming out on the 1st. So yeah, you.
So have a great New Year's. I hope you guys have a
your
great
New Year's is
hope
good.
you're safe. And that's it.
All right, so we will be back next week to talk about Game of the Years and whatever news happened. So
Bye-bye.
until next time, thanks guys. Bye.
Bye.